It's Wendy's. Part of the big crowd getting set here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. It is the Battle of the Beltways, the home and home. Orioles got 2 out of 3 in Washington in May, and now the Nationals trying to return the favor here against the Birds, who have come back home after a 3-3 road trip. Southwest Airlines starting lineups for the Nationals: Christian Guzman, Nick Johnson, and Ryan Zimmerman, with Adam Dunn DHing. National League team adds a DH in the American League Park. Josh Willingham in left, Elijah Dukes, Josh Bard, a switch-hitting catcher, 4 out of 12 with a couple of home runs against the Orioles. Willie Harris in center, Anderson Hernandez at second base.
Take a look at our PNC scouting report on Brad Bergeson, only 23 years of age, loves to pitch here at Camden Yards. Again, the Orioles over 500 at home. You can't steal on them. They've attempted to steal a base twice, and they're 0 for 2. And again, the Orioles, kind of a up and down month, but for Brad Bergeson, 2-0 in the month of June with a very, very low earned run average.
And he misses outside to Christian Guzman, 1-0. Christian Guzman, of course, the Orioles know more about him than most players in this lineup because of his years in Minnesota. And there's a strike. And Rob Dibble with us for this series. And the thing about Guzman that I like about him, switch hitter, he hits to the gaps and he has a lot of speed. He really bothers you if he gets on base.
He's been fantastic, Jim. He's been hitting the ball all over the park. When we need a double or a triple, he will hit it into the gaps. But for the most part, he just does his best to get on base and set the table for the rest of the lineup.
Ferguson deals 1-2, and he got him. So he fell behind 1-0, back-to-back strikes, and Guzman retired 1 away.
Take a look at the Oriole defense here at Camden Yards. Reimold, Jones, and Markakis. That's the outfield for the Orioles. Mora and Dino with the Stir still out with the appendectomy. Roberts, Huff, that's the infield, and Matt Wieters, #1 draft choice a couple of years ago, behind the plate.
Here's Nick Johnson playing at first base. Another of the veterans on this team. The Nationals, while trying to go young as they rebuild, they have veterans like Guzman and Nick Johnson at the top. There's really a balance you have to try to figure out. If you go too young too quickly, the young players might get overmatched.
Absolutely, and Nick Johnson's done a fantastic job in the #2 hole. He's hitting lefties about 360 off of left-handers this year. He's just been fantastic. And last night he caught a curveball from John Smoltz in the left shin. Had a gigantic, huge egg on his shin. Had to come out of the game.
Bounce toward short, and Dino waits on the hop. He'll get it to first, and 2 men down.
Ryan Zimmerman comes up. Last night was unbelievable with the glove. He's been doing this all year. Had a 30-game hitting streak during the season so far. And he is just one of the mainstays of this Washington Nationals team. He pretty much is the face of the franchise. And there you see him at Camden Yards, guys. 306. He kind of likes interleague play.
Yeah, I don't know of too many hitters that walk into this ballpark and don't like the dimensions. I mean, it's a beautiful ballpark, but from a hitter's perspective, when you look out at left center, 364, 370 field to right field. If you hit the ball down the right field line, you have the high wall to contend with. And we've seen the powerful, and I've seen Zimmerman do this, hit the ball the other way. Not a cheap home run, but you can drive the ball out in right field pretty easily here.
Well, I talked to Brooks Robinson about the defense of Ryan Zimmerman. He says he loves it. I said, who's your favorite third baseman? He said Zimmerman, mostly because of his defense, and last night was spectacular against the Boston Red Sox.
Well, it's like all those great teams I played on. You usually had a Gold Glover at shortstop, and Brooks with 16 straight Gold Gloves at third.
Hard hit ball at third. Mora to his left, spins around, gets it, and gets him. And Brad Bergeson, a 3-up, 3-down inning. Nationals fail to score. Here come the Birds in the bottom of the first. starting lineups for the Birds. Brian Roberts in the leadoff spot. Adam Jones back in the number 2 spot tonight at center field. Pretty good numbers head-to-head in the brief interleague matchups he's had against the Nationals. Markakis up in Reimel with Scott DHing, and is Lou Cappy to be back with American League rules. Mora Wieters and Andino.
PNC Bank scouting report on Ross Detweiler. He faced the Orioles back in May 23rd. Did a very good job against them. He's got great stuff. 90 to 95 mile an hour fastball, a 12-6 breaking ball. Continues to pitch better every time out there. Went 7 innings his last outing. Work ahead of the hitters. Strike one is still the best pitch for Ross Detweiler. Remember last time we talked about him, Jim, throws across his body. He's got to continually go towards home plate or else he gets a little bit lax with his arm.
Yeah, I was talking to Steve McCaddy, who took over for Randy St. Clair, and he said that is what he is. And you try to get a little bit straight, but he's way over on the first base side. I don't think he's over as much as some other guys, like Rick Ankier, who now is an outfielder with St. Louis. Used to be about 2 feet across his body.
Roberts batting right-handed, fouls it off. Ryan hitting it .292. Manny Acta and his club here in Baltimore. And again, this is a budding rivalry as each team continues in the rebuilding process. The hope is that as each team improves on the field, the rivalry will improve the box office.
Yeah, not only when they play each other, but when the other teams come in. What I like about Detweiler, I mean, it seems like he's pretty much under control, and he's got a terrific arm.
He does, and he's got a great mound presence, something that you know a lot about, Jim. And some of these young kids come up and they're intimidated, and that happened to Craig Stammen against the Red Sox the other night. When it came to crunch time, he went away from his best pitch. Well, Detweiler and Zimmerman, 2 of our younger guys, will challenge hitters, and I like that.
1-2 high and away, and it's 2-2. Of course, Brian Roberts, one of the more patient hitters in the American League, and leading off a game, he likes to see as many pitches as he can. 4 pitches into this at bat. And the 2-2 pitch is a called strike 3, and Roberts knew it. So Brian walks away. He's down on strikes and 1 away.
Well, you see him on the inside half right here. He took something off the fastball, maybe a cut fastball. Here's the delivery of Detweiler. Watch him, as Jim Palmer said, steps across his body towards first base, delivers the ball. But as soon as they tried to change him, he could not pitch at the minor league level. He thanked Mike Rizzo and all the people up here once they let him go back to throwing his natural way, and he got right back up to the big leagues.
Yeah, when you're a #1 draft choice, you usually want him, obviously, to stay healthy, and usually throwing across your body can sometimes lead to problems. But if you've done it all your life and you're healthy, why change him? But what, at first round, 6th player in 2007? I don't know if you want to mess too much with him.
And the player chosen before him, your catcher, Matt Wieters.
Jones fouls it off the right side. No balls and 2 strikes.
Well, you talked about that the last time that Ross pitched against the Orioles. Only the infield hit by Nick Markakis.
Yes.
6 innings.
And that's the thing. You know, he doesn't know a lot of these lineups. He does now know the Orioles because he faced them once. But he's going out there pretty much on guts and guile against a lot of these big league lineups.
Adam to deep left field. Back on at Willingham. He's not going to get it. And it bounces against the wall. And Adam Jones will head to second base, snapping an 0 for 13 drought with a 1-out double.
Yeah, and he does it on an 0-2 pitch. And again, maybe a little cutter or just trying to get in. You could see right there where Bard sits in. The ball gets there. But when Adam Jones gets the foot down and you elevate the ball and don't get it way in, there is a big difference between going in and getting in.
Absolutely, and that fastball was up and high so he could get his arms extended. Just shows you the quickness of some of these major leaguers' bats. They can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and that was not a good 0-2 pitch. You want to throw something out of the zone or down in the dirt.
So Markakis a chance for an RBI. Good spot for Nick back in his number 3 hole. Adam Jones drawing the attention of Detweiler, and it's outside with a breaking ball, 1-0. Markakis now batting at .297, creeping closer to .300 as Detweiler tries to get out of this without a run coming in. Jones at second base and 1 down. Detweiler just 23 years old. Last year pitched in A ball in the Carolina League the entire season. That shows you the ability for him to be able to make that jump that quickly.
Yeah, and in the minor leagues, they're swinging at every pitch. Up here, they're a lot more patient, and they'll let you get yourself in trouble. So it's a little bit different for a young guy. Sometimes you're taking 2 strikes before they even swing the bat.
1-0 to Markakis is at the knees for a strike. So says Brian Knight.
Well, there are the numbers of lefties and righties. And another point to make is that you're so better scouted at the major league level. I mean, they know about you in the minor leagues, but they know what pitch you throw, how often you throw it, do you get it over. They're pretty well prepared. And if you're not, it's your fault if you're a hitter or a pitcher.
I just wrote a blog for Masson.com about learning the hitters and their tendencies and what they're looking to do to beat you. And you can't just go out there and say, well, this is what I throw. You have to know what the hitters are looking to hit off of you and what the scouting reports against you are.
Yeah, Nick thinks this ball is high, and our Northrop Grumman pitch track kind of indicates that.
Well, how about the American League, a high ball league? It used to be.
Apparently tonight, Brian Knight thinks it is. He's umpiring behind the plate tonight.
1-2 is tapped towards the mound. Detweiler can't reach it. Races on. Markakis is safe at first base. There's an infield hit. That was as good as a drag bunt because he got it past the pitcher.
And that's what he did the last time that Ross Detweiler pitched. The infield hit. But that one was out to shortstop. This one, a good curveball rolls over it. If you don't get it, it's in no man's land.
Yeah, that's what they call a tough play when you're practicing that in spring training and your pitcher's fielding practice. You got to get over to first base, but Nick Johnson couldn't get to this, nor can you beat the speed of Markakis, so that was an easy hit.
One of those things where if you actually stood at home plate and rolled it out there, you couldn't have done it any better.
So the Orioles have first and third and one down. Aubrey Huff with an RBI chance. The Nationals looking for a ground ball to turn two and end this threat. Aubrey did not play in last night's game, given the night off in Florida. Orioles landed at BWI just before 2 this morning and back at it tonight. And Aubrey Huff, after a night off, looking to snap an 0 for 10.
And the Nationals, of course, they get back on the winning track by beating the Red Sox under full house.
Yeah,
9-3.
Three sellout crowds, 3 record crowds. A lot of Red Sox nation there.
0-1 is high.
I'm sure you guys are like the Nationals. You appreciate the business. Thanks for coming.
Well, yeah, and, I think a lot of people they go, oh, well, we want Oriole fans, and we certainly do. But
Absolutely.
It's nice. Especially I live downtown. I mean, the Red Sox are coming in next week, and traffic won't be too bad because they fly and the New York fans drive. So you always know coming out of the ballpark when the Yankees are in town because traffic's not as good as it is. Red Sox, they walk. You see the hats.
So you live like 2 miles from here. You notice traffic?
Of course I do.
Wow.
You live in the suburbs. I thought of you this morning when I was having my blueberries, and I said, these, and you'll know where I'm going in a second.
Jim needs to change his diet.
No. Blueberries and strawberries, a little yogurt.
1-2 on Huff. Line to center field. There's Willie Harris. He moves in on it and has it for the out. Here comes Jones to score. That's a sac fly and an RBI. And the Orioles get on the board first, and a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and that infield hit does it. And of course, if you're Huff, and he's a 278 lifetime hitter against lefties, but the minute you get a guy to third with less than 2 outs, you make it easier for a hitter to elevate the ball, and that's exactly what he does. Orioles take the lead.
I talked to Ron Vallone. He gave up, I think, that triple to Huff the last time we faced you guys, and he said he is one tough customer against left-handed pitchers. He has not been able to get him out over his career, so great job by Huff against Detweiler.
Aubrey leading the Orioles in RBIs. That was number 48. And a throw to first chasing Markakis, who has not been attempting to steal bases this year, even though that was one of his goals this year.
I got to get back. Yeah, the blueberries.
Antioxidants, right?
So I'm going, yes, exactly. But I'm looking at them, and these are the biggest, plumpest blueberries I've ever seen. And I go, I wonder where they are. Chile, maybe California. Hamilton, New Jersey.
All right.
Top crop.
How about that?
Jimmy Bill, that would be in New Jersey. Yeah, the Neos.
It's off exit 11.
Frank Rosen and Joe packages them.
Right.
Up in Where is Hamilton?
Where are mine? Come on, it's in the southern part of the state. Everyone knows that.
Now, our producer Don knows that because her people are there. Our people are everywhere, but.
I'm just disappointed. You think of me and you don't think to bring me some for tomorrow.
I didn't know you ate blueberries.
Healthy.
We all eat blueberries.
0-2 pitch to Reimold. This tap past the mound. Guzman has it. He flips to second base. Anderson Hernandez there for the force-out Markakis. Orioles get a run on a couple of hits. We'll head to the second battle of the Beltways. 1-0 O's. Here is Adam Dunn, who is DHing. He'll lead off. Brad Bergeson retired the side in order in the first.
May 24th against the Orioles is what Adam Dunn did. Huge home run. Then he went the other way for the game winner.
Yeah, off of Jamie Walker, who got released. And when I saw Adam today, I said, you know, you got Walker released. He said, oh, he's not there. And I said, no. I said, I don't want. Do I see a tear? Because Jamie was really struggling against left-handers, and he was at the back of the bullpen in left center field to win that ball game. It was a game that Brad Bergeson had an early lead. Dunn got him back into the game with the first home run, and then launched the 3-run. It's kind of what I don't know, slider in the middle of the plate, and he hit it about 450 to left center.
2-1 is inside, ball 3.
And of Adam Dunn, it was surprising to see that was a career high in RBI. It was 6 RBI. All the RBIs he's had. Look at that this year: 10 homers, 50 ribbies. Second in the National League in walks, and that's not surprising with his power.
This ball's hit towards the gap in right center field. Markakis runs it down. So it hung up for him and one away.
We'll take a look at Brad Bergeson, and people are starting to call him the ace. Well, there's your 4-seamer, and there is the 2-seamer. Fingers maybe a little bit farther than I held mine, but it certainly works for him. Change up, circle change up. And we've seen the slider. He got and he varies speeds on the slider, so it's almost like it's a slurve breaking ball. There's the curve ball. He'll change speeds on it. That's what Nick Johnson bounced out to shortstop in the first inning. But he throws a lot of strikes, Jim. And as you know, doesn't walk a lot of guys. Getting out 72% of the first batter he faces an inning, which is certainly important.
Willingham takes a strike, playing in left field tonight. And that's in the low, 1-1 the count. Well, the thing about Bergeson that is very obvious when you talk to him is that not only is he intelligent, and you see his record, look at the numbers in the month of June. He's very intelligent. He understands that there is a process, and he is willing to go through that process, whatever it takes, however you learn, to figure out how to get that batter out in that at-bat, and that's all it's about. Because then the next at-bat, it may take something totally different.
Let me give you an example. I spoke to the general manager of the Cincinnati Reds today, and he talked about Homer Bailey, who has not been able to pitch well at the major league level. He dominates at the AAA level. And before Walt got to Cincinnati, Walt said that there's a base hit by Willingham, who's been on fire since coming back from bereavement leave. He would not listen to his coaches. He didn't want to take instruction. And so now he gets it because he's been failing 4 or 5 times. He's come up to the major leagues. He goes back to AAA, has a 0.5 earned run average, comes up, has an 8 earned run average in the major leagues. He's going to start now possibly listening to his coaches. You have to always listen to the teachers and make adjustments.
Yeah, because they know more than you, and I don't think that's ever going to be a case with Brad Bergeson. My only suggestion to him is that as you progress through this year, and for the Orioles and the Nationals, you want this team, both teams, to be better at the end of the year than they are now, even in June, or we're in April or May. There's your good breaking ball. So, you know, I said about feel. He pitched a game, and he's pitched at Philadelphia. He pitched very well. There were some balls misplayed as we look at Elijah Dukes. Jim, and what I was saying is you gave up a 2-run home run to Alex Rodriguez. You've shut him out for the next 5 innings. Then you struggled in the 7th inning. What did it feel like when you got out of sorts? And those are the kind of things that only experience allows you to do.
Well, and here in this at-bat, he falls behind Dukes, and it looked to me, those 2 swings, Dukes was thinking, I'm ahead, fastball, it's 1-1 fastball. And there's Bergeson, 3 consecutive sliders, and now he's ahead in the count. So there's outthinking your opponent and, even more importantly, executing the pitch.
And it's also learning when you're having a bad day and you don't have great stuff. Armando Galarraga yesterday, this is a great case in point with the Tigers. He's been struggling all year, gave up 3 runs in the first inning, but then he went 4 or 5 shutout innings after that and gave his team an opportunity to win. You're not always going to carry your best stuff to the mound as a starter or a reliever.
This ball's hit into left field. It'll fall base hit as Elijah Dukes just served it into left field behind in the count. So 2 on with 1 out. Well, here's a way to save on tickets to upcoming Orioles games and pick up some exclusive memorabilia. If you buy an Orioles rookie flex pack, you'll save on tickets to 4 upcoming games of your choice, including 1 prime game. Plus, for a limited time, purchase 2 seats, you'll receive an autographed photo of Nolan Reimold. Purchase 4 seats, you'll also get an autographed picture of Matt Wieters. For all details, 888-848-BIRD, online, Orioles.com.
1 too many breaking balls?
Yeah, well, 4, and if your 4th one's not as good as the first 3. Now, the other hand, and the other side of the coin, is that Elijah Dukes, we saw the number, 3 for 24 last 7 games. He made a nice adjustment. Now, do you want him hitting little soft singles to left? Yes. But
as a pitcher, yes.
Yeah, singles down and in. A sinker down and in might have been a pretty good pitch, especially if you want to come back and get him out with that breaking ball.
I know you showed about 5 or 6 pitches by Bergeson. Does he maybe have too many and he should maybe drop one and concentrate on 4?
No, basically to me, he's a sinker baller. I mean, he can go from 88 to 92 every once in a while, run it up there. He was talking about, and we showed you the ERA, very good in June, struggled a little bit in May and late April when he first came up. Stay behind the sinker, so it does sink. Because if you drop down, you were a sinker ball because you were a high fastball guy. But what happens, the ball looks like it sinks, but it stays on the same plane. But again, he's a fast learner. Not overpowering, though. He's got to make his pitches.
And he, without a doubt, earned his way here. He was drafted out of high school by the Orioles in 2004. And the first 2 years in pro ball, he was assigned to short season teams. So he signed, went to short season, then went to extended spring training, stayed there till June, went right back to short season. He was brought along very slowly, so he had to really earn his way through.
I came up drafted at 19 after 1 year of college. After A ball, my first year, half season, went back to extended spring training. So what we call Group 5. So, when I do choose to write the book, it'll be Group 5 to the big leagues because that's the lowest level you can go. Then I went to another half season again, and then you start progressing A ball again, high A, double A, triple A. So, yeah, I have a lot of respect for a guy who's gone backwards and then had to go all the way up to the big leagues.
And he did make every step. 3-1 pitch is line to left field. That's going to be a base hit. Reimold towards the line. Rounding third is Willingham. He will come towards the plate. Throw towards third base and out at third base. Hunter Wendelstedt said that Mora got the tag down. It was a high tag. It looked like the foot might have been in on the bag, but the call is out and 2 men down.
And Mora might have got spiked.
Yeah, well, it's a big break for the Orioles. You got a freight train coming into third right here. But again, if you don't make an accurate throw, get the glove down. I tell you, to me, he looks safe.
He looks safe, but it looks like he slides by the bag on the right side. Watch this.
Right, but does he? Yeah, see, but he never loses contact with it. So the Orioles get a play, and Melvin's going, you know what? That freight train just went by, and I didn't get hurt.
There's few people at the big league level that are as big as Elijah Dukes. He could be a linebacker in the NFL.
Well, with the play in front of him, you question why did he go, but when you see the replay, you realize why. He thought and he knew he could make it, and he did. He was safe. So the Orioles get a call, 1-1 game as Willingham scores. Bard stayed at first base, 2 down. Here's Willie Harris. And it's inside 1-0.
And I think another thing, if we were going to go back to our PNC scouting report, is that, as we mentioned, Brad Bergeson cannot pitch when he's behind. And Willingham, he got behind him. He singled to left. Bard was a 3-1 fastball. Only Dukes was he ahead of him in this inning.
Ball's behind another hitter, 2-0 on Willie Harris.
It looks to me the Nationals are doing a little bit what they did against John Smoltz when they had that 4-run first inning, where they hit the ball all over the place. He elevated, talking about Smoltz last night, elevated some pitches. They took advantage of it.
Well, when they were hitting around third best in the National League, they were very patient. They had great approaches at the plate. Then they went away from that, started expanding their own zone, especially Ryan Zimmerman, some other guys, once they start struggling, and we can talk about that. Peaks and valleys at the major league level, and some guys start to press. Last night against Smoltz, they started to go back to their old approach, take some pitches, make the guy work. Smoltz threw 35 pitches in the first inning.
2-1 to Harris. Slow curveball is high. Ball 3.
So again, he gets behind we're talking about Brad Bergeson. He's now 3-1. And you could see him trying not to be predictable, hence the 2-1 curveball, and that's not his strength. His strength is to get ahead and throw that ball out of the strike zone.
3 runners there for a strike, 3-2.
And that is the pitch he's going to have to get from Brian Knight, and we've already seen it with Markakis that it seems, and we're only into the second inning, that Brad Knight favors the high fastball.
There are the numbers Jim's referring to.
Yeah, it's a 115 point swing there, maybe 120 points.
Bard will go 3-2 with 2 down, and it's inside ball 4, and the inning continues. So 3 straight hits followed by a walk, and the call at third looming larger now for both the Nationals and the Orioles. It would have been bases loaded, 1 down.
Well, and Willie Harris has had a decent year, but he's still hitting in the 230s. And this is a problem that the Nationals' young pitchers have faced, giving too much credit to the bottom of the order, not challenging them with fastballs, nitpicking, nibbling on the corners, and then you fall behind. You end up walking the number 8 guy. And in the American League, you could get hammered on that. But in the National League, our pitchers can get away with it because usually the pitcher is walking to the plate early in a ball game. So right here, American League rules, we have a very good 9-hole hitter with speed.
Yeah, I call it arena baseball.
26 pitches this inning, and Hernandez fouls it off back of the plate.
At the end of the day, whether you're 23, and you have to understand the inexperience factor with the battery makes you have. You have Wieters at 22, you have Bergeson at 23, that yes, they work together in the minor leagues, but this is the big leagues. So you got to take your game plan. You got to ascertain what he has, what he doesn't have.
Popped him up. Right side of the infield. Aubrey Huff moves in on it. He has the play and has it for the out. Inning end. So run on 3 hits, 2 left. Middle of the second and a 1-1 game.
Signing their top draft pick from this year's draft, Matt Hobgood. He was at the yard here today to receive a physical, and he had a chance to walk around the yard, taking a little batting practice, and meet some of the guys he very could play with in the future. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. He's a right-hander out of Norco, California High School. We're told that an official announcement of his signing could come as early as tomorrow, but it'll be interesting to meet this top draft pick. I know some of the guys had a chance to, and they told me, Adam Jones told me, I really like the guy. He kind of has that Cali attitude, like me. I think we'll get along great. Jim?
All right, Amber, and another guy who has that Cali attitude, Mr. Beverly Hills himself, Jim Palmer. Look at that. You walked right over to the guy.
With Hobgood down there before the game.
Well, but they didn't shoot his leg.
Did you give him a lesson yet?
No, he asked. I'll tell you what. Hey, the kid asked a lot of very, very insightful questions. But
here's Luke Scott, takes ball 1.
I said, Dave Tremblay, somebody came over and Dave said come out on the field, and he did. Now he's wearing plaid shorts with black shoes and white socks. That's when Adam Jones said, you know what, you must be from California, Santa Monica look, or something like that. So anyway, I looked at him and I said, so I hear you're signing tomorrow. I said, you got the wrong kind of agent. Aren't you supposed to wait till the deadline on August 15th? He said, what's $1 million or so? I want to play. Now there's your attitude right there. Get out there. He said, I don't make my money in the big leagues.
Luke Scott fouls it back 1-2. Luke DHing tonight.
But it tells you how old you are when the #1 draft choice is wearing braces.
18-year-old out of high school. 1-2 on Scott. Moore and Wieters will follow against Detweiler. Breaking ball, check swing, and fouled it off straight down at the plate.
And I would imagine as Ross Detweiler gets his innings, that curveball is going to even be sharper, as it did in the game that he pitched against the Orioles in Washington. But right now it's kind of rolling.
He's not even thrown his good one yet.
Yeah, and I think to me it was always a field pitch. In other words, it took you a number of them Yeah, this is a perfect count. You don't have to throw it for a strike. Throw it underneath the strike zone. There it is. Because you don't have to throw a strike. And why? Because, again, the count is 1-2. Bergeson last inning was reversed. You can stay in these kind of counts. Boy, the numbers go down dramatically just for about every major league pitcher. And the hitters, their batting average is up.
Grand Canyon.
Yep.
That's how deep they go.
1-2 on Scott leading off in the Orioles second. That's high. And Luke, very much a streaky hitter. And he is in one of those market corrections at the moment. 3 for his last 22, trying to find that stroke. 2-2 is tapped towards the mound. Detweiler has it. And he turns and throws out the hustling Luke Scott. And 1 away here in the second inning. Don't forget about the Cal Ripken All-Stars. They'll be hosting the Valley Baseball League All-Stars, the Mid-Atlantic Classic, on July 15th at Regency Furniture Stadium in Waldorf. You can come out and catch where Orioles Aubrey Huff, Luke Scott, Chris Ray, and L.J. Hose all launch their careers. Watch the game as well on Mass in HD. Game time 7:05. Get there early. Home Run Derby at 5:30. Admission is free. Your donation will be greatly appreciated. Log on to Ripken Senior Baseball, RipkenSeniorCollegeBaseball.org, or 410-588-9900.
I wanted to ask Jim about yesterday. Smoltz struggling, but for Jordan Zimmerman, who pitched well, but to watch a possible future Hall of Famer struggle, is that a good thing or a bad thing for a young player? Because I feel it's a good thing, because it just shows how humbling this level is.
Well, it really is. And then you go back and you look at Smoltz. He was the 574th selection. And Jordan Zimmerman was born 353 days after he signed. Talking about John Smoltz, that's how young he is.
Yeah, Zimmerman was 2 years old when Smoltz made his big league debut.
Right, but he was not even thinking about little Jordan right there when he actually got signed. I think June 5th back in 1986 or something like that. That debut, I think, somewhere in 1988. But the thing about Jordan Zimmerman, what is impressive if you read the Boston Globes with the Red Sox coming in, is he struck out Dustin Pedroia, who was the MVP, led the American League in hits last year with 214. And he said that's the second time in almost 400 games that Pedroia's ever struck out twice in one game. Phil Hughes, who's now in the bullpen for the Yankees, was the other guy.
Matt Wieters takes ball 2, 2 outs and none on, following the Melvin Moore ground out. As the Orioles continue this stretch of left-handed starters against them. So the switch hitter's getting a lot of at-bats from the right side. And it's high ball 3. Detweiler averages about 3.5 walks per 9 innings and striking out about 6. No decision last Saturday against the Blue Jays. Pitched very well. The comments that we have heard, and Rob, your perspective would be the opposite of this, but as the Orioles have gone through the NL East teams commenting on how well top to bottom the American League East teams hit, because that's what you have to do in this division. As Matt Wieters draws a 2-out walk, if you're trying to even come close to competing with the Red Sox and the Yankees, the Rays are defending champs. Every team in this division top to bottom can hit. That's how the teams are built.
No, by far it's the toughest division in baseball. And having watched the American League East for decades, going back to when Jim was playing, you've had usually 4 great teams in that division at all times. And now the Blue Jays are making a comeback. They're one of the better teams. The Rays have upped their ante a little bit going to the World Series. But I think it's been great for our young pitching staff to have to face the best. They've upped their game, their level, and it's been a great way to gauge their own stuff. And that's why I brought up John Smoltz, because even the best pitchers can be humbled by this game. Even the best hitters can go 0 for 25, 0 for 30. So I think it was a great growing experience for our young kids.
Robert Andino takes low 2-0. So after a walk, 2-0 on Andino. The Orioles last weekend, as an example, the Phillies are defending world champions. Yep. Now, granted, Ryan Howard played Friday night. Then the flu really got him. He pinch hit Saturday night, hit a 3-run home run. Then didn't play Sunday. And Ibanez on the DL. So they really missed 2 key hitters. But the Orioles pitched very well, and they got clutch hits.
Well, that's how you win. And you have to do that on the road. We talked about how the Orioles seem to do it better here. The ERA almost a run and 3/4 better at home.
And Dino bounces it left side. Zimmerman in front. The flip to the second baseman, Anderson Hernandez. Inning ends. We played 2 in the Battle of the Beltways at a 1-1 game. Book your next trip at southwest.com. By Corona and Corona Light, official sponsors of the timeout. Relax responsibly. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by PNC. PNC leading the way. Looking in from behind the pillars out there in the flag court. And a nice crowd on hand, the Battle of the Beltways. We're happy you could be with us as we combine our massive families. Here is Christian Guzman leading off. Bob Carpenter comes along in the bottom of the third. Rob Dibble, Jim Palmer here. Amber Theo Harris, Debbie Taylor as well.
I'm jealous of your black shirts, though. When Jim changes later, I'm going to have to steal his shirt.
Guzman pops it up to Mora and has it for the out and one down. So the first batter retired in the third. Let's get a look at the leaderboard presented by Firestone, a tradition of innovation and the National League batting leaders. Some pretty hefty averages there, including Christian Guzman, who just popped up. Tied for third coming in. He's also tied for 8th in base hits and has 28 multi-hit games, which is one more than the Orioles leader, Adam Jones.
He had 7 in a row till last night against the Red Sox.
Sharply at the short. There's Andino. He'll get Nick Johnson 2 quick outs.
Well, there's the Brad Bergeson that we know, which is to get ahead. You know what you do best, and he couldn't do that in the second inning. And again, the big play is the throw by Raimo to get Dukes out at third base, because it really takes them out of the possibility of a big inning. So when we saw Ryan Zimmerman back in May, he was hitting about 330, maybe 335, somewhere in that.
He was on fire.
Yeah,
he was on fire. And but like we've talked about, and I'm sure you talk about this every night, everybody is scouting you. Everybody's making adjustments to how well you are hitting. And if you don't make adjustments to the adjustments they make, you can go into a long slump. And you have to always know that they're going to change their philosophy on how they're going to pitch you. And it's the same with Adam Dunn. There'll be a week where Adam Dunn won't see anything worth hitting. And if he expands his zone, yeah, he's going to strike out an awful lot. If not, he's going to walk an awful lot. So it's not easy to hit at the major league level, because the guy out there on the mound, he's doing his best to make sure you can't hit his best stuff.
And it's a copycat league. Here's the 0-2 pitch. That one's lined into right field. That's going to be a base hit. Markakis tries to cut it off and does. So Ryan Zimmerman is on with a 2-out single.
And when he was going well, that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, that's your 335 swing right there.
That's your you take have a good, to go the other way.
You take a good pitch and reduce it into a line drive single. Now, to me, if I'm pitching, that's pretty good information pitch, because I know right now that Ryan Zimmerman can hit my slider. One of the horrible sliders up a little bit, but I know he can hit that pitch. So it's good for Ryan because he gets on, and then Bergeson at least understands what Zimmer can do and what he can't do.
And what his approach is at the plate. So next time up, I want to jam the heck out of him, try to break his bat, throw that hard sinker, and see what he can do with that. And that's what I've talked to a lot of our younger pitchers about too, is, hey, listen, Jordan Zimmerman, who did a great job last night, you throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Until someone shows you they can hit that, why are you going to your second, third, and fourth pitch? Make that guy beat you off your best pitch first, then start working down the ladder.
Well, our #1 draft choice, Matt Hobgood, said, well, what happens if you get a guy out on 3 fastballs the first time? I said, well, you throw him fastballs again. I said, not an audition. We're not going to Broadway. Well, can you sing? Yes. Can you yodel? Yeah, I can even yodel. Tap dance? Oh, yeah.
Good pitch, and Dunn swings through it.
I mean, there's a couple of basic premises. If you're a hitter, you never have to swing at anything other than what you're looking at till you get to 2 strikes. And if you're a pitcher, if you throw a pitch and the guy doesn't hit it, keep throwing it. Because what are you going to do when you get in trouble if you go to a guy's weakness every time he comes to the plate?
In '98, and Jim, you may have even done this game, the Orioles played in Detroit against the Tigers at Tiger Stadium. Remember Matt Anderson threw about
Absolutely. He was their top pick.
He threw a fastball by Eric Davis, who was so late he looked like he was 50 years old. The next pitch was the exact same pitch he hit in the upper deck. And after the game, I said, were you surprised to get, you were set up. It was 1-2 for a breaking ball down and away. He said, oh, no. After he got that fastball by me, if he throws that curveball, his pitching coach is all over him. I had to prove to them I could catch up to it, and he adjusted like that. I was stunned.
Well, when you throw 103 miles per hour like Matt Anderson, you're always hitting over off the fastball. I mean, that's
yes.
I mean, that you threw that hard. I mean, you were up there in the 100-mile-per-hour zone.
But how many hitters would try to set you up.
3-2 runner goes, and a swing and a miss as Adam Dunn goes down. So the 1-out hit. Adam at left. Bob Carpenter joins the gang. We'll see you later. Good one. 1-1 game.
Ryan Zimmerman told me he's very impressed by this young starting staff.
They're obviously young in age, but I kind of went through the same thing as them, and it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 30 years old. I think once you kind of get your routine set and you know what you need to do, I think you get a month or two and you really don't feel like that age or experience matters.
Now, the Nats rookies have combined for 9 wins, which is tops in the National League. Of course, Ross Detweiler still looking for his first win of the season. Bob?
Thank you, Debbie Taylor. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Mr. Carpenter.
Mr. Bob?
I'll go by Bob now.
Yeah.
Ross Detweiler, top of the order for the Orioles. Brian Roberts leads off. Called out on strikes first time. I'm not sure I've ever seen Brian Roberts called out on strikes against the Nats. This guy usually wears out Washington pitching. He's a doubles machine. And coming in, he's hit safely in 6 of his last 7. Detweiler gets one in there, 1-2.
Well, you know, the unusual thing, and I ran the numbers not in the last week, but everybody said, oh, Brian Roberts, great 2-strike hitter. He was hitting under 200.
What, with 2 strikes?
With 2 strikes. And the league average is 185 for the entire major league. So gives you an idea of how difficult it is to cover all quadrants of the plate. I think what it is that he does, you know, he'll go up there. Sometimes he'll take the first pitch. The next time he'll be on it for a double, which, you know, he's got more doubles than anybody in baseball. Mike Young, I think, is about 20. Michael Young of the Rangers, 21 behind him since 2004. I think he just knows what he wants to hit, and then he scuffles with like everybody else when you get to 2 strikes.
And a 2-2. Looked like a change up away, and he couldn't get it.
Very nice.
Ross Detweiler has 2 strikeouts tonight, both of them against Brian Roberts.
Yeah, could it be any better than this, Rob?
Well,
no.
Talk about this because I've Northrop Grumman here on the pitch track. He throws a great outside changeup, almost a backdoor changeup. But a lot of our younger guys, Jim, have been throwing their whole pitch repertoire the first trip through the lineup. And I've said, listen, you should maybe try to go through the first trip through the lineup with just your fastball. Why do you need to throw 4 pitches and show them everything you got working tonight?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to keep the ball in the ballpark. You know, Ross does that pretty well. You want to get the first guy out. Does a pretty good job at that.
Tricky little short hop for Guzman on the backhand side. He plays it well. 2 outs, bases empty. And you Nats fans, get your family fun pack tickets and bring the whole gang to the ballpark for Sunday games like the one a week from this Sunday when the Braves are in. You can get an upper right field terrace ticket for $14. Either side, lower deck reserve $25. With each ticket, a hot dog, a non-alcoholic drink, and chips. Minimum 2 tickets per purchase. Nationals.com or 888-632-NATS. 2 outs, bases empty. Nick Markakis. Detweiler made a good pitch on him first time, but he was able to bump a little infield hit to the right side.
Yeah, and that really set up the inning after the one-out double, because it got Jones to third, and he scored on a sacrifice fly, and that just an out. But with a runner on third, it was a RBI, sacrifice fly for Aubrey Huff. I think the one thing Ross ought to take all his teammates, especially the hitters, to dinner. They're only getting, what, 3.63 runs? If he had enough
the
starts.
last time he pitched.
Yeah, I mean,
and we said
steak dinner.
And we said to a nice restaurant.
Yes. Not
I think I
McKee's.
might have been listening to that game.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if he qualified, this is only his 8th major league start. He'd be what, 5th lowest earned run average?
Yeah.
I was talking to Guthrie today. I said 1 year the Phillies had 3 pitchers. One guy was 8-12, or 10-10, and 14-8, and the difference was run support. All the numbers were almost identical.
Well, it sounds like the Phillies all year long this year. There's a high fastball and a 1-2-3 bottom of the third for Detweiler. Willingham, Dukes, and Bards ahead.
We call him gone.
He has trivia for us. 3 200-plus home run players have played for both of these organizations. Interesting. Who are they?
200-plus home run players.
They're both the. Now that includes Montreal.
Right. So the Expos and the O's.
Well, Kenny Singleton is certainly one of them.
Top of the 4th inning, a good front door breaking ball to Josh Willingham, who pulled the ball for a base hit, scored Washington's only run.
How about Mike Epstein? Did he hit 200 home runs? I don't think so.
And this has been like Stump the Band.
Well, we have
they've been killing us on these.
Well, because they opened up an Orioles media guide, and they, just like they were picking them out of the Red Sox media guide at our park.
What do they have against you guys?
It's a vast truck conspiracy is what it is. Josh Willingham, by the way, his batting average is up in the 260 range now, and it took him most of the month of April to get off the interstate. He's really been swinging the bat well. He got jammed by that one up the middle to Brian Roberts, and that's how the 4th inning gets underway. The next 2 hitters, Dukes and Bard, hitting safely so far.
No, there's a good adjustment. He got ahead of Willingham. Last time he got behind him, hit a single into left. And up part of that 1-run inning, which should have been more. And of course, Dukes saw, 4 straight breaking balls, hit the 4th one into left field, soft base hit.
And Elijah, in all honesty, has been a little reckless on the bases this year. He's been picked off 3 or 4 times off of first. And I agree with you guys. The replay showed he was safe. The Nats and Hunter Wendelstedt don't seem eye to eye. There's always, it seems, one umpire that has a hard time with certain ball clubs, or vice versa. And this all started a couple of years ago when he tossed John Lennon out of his major league debut. 2 balls and a strike. Here's Elijah waiting. And taking one under his hands.
There's that hard sinker.
It looked a little bit to me that Hunter got a little bit blocked out. He had time because you can anticipate. So he could have run around the play, probably seen it a little bit better angle. I'm sure Manny Active thinks that. There's your get me over slider. Did you ever throw a get me over slider?
Yes, I did.
Did you really?
I started a lot of right-handed hitters off with it. Just a
93?
No, it was in the 70s. I just kind of lobbed in a soft slider.
Well, tell them about your ex-teammate who used to lob in BP fastballs.
Oh, Tom Browning.
Well, yeah. I mean, Dave McNally did that. Mike Flanagan.
You got to have some guts, and he did it all the time.
And then the great reliever, Stu Miller.
Yep.
He would just kind of no neck jerk, just throw it up there.
3-2 to Dukes. That was a breaking ball. Melvin Mora to his left with a good play. 2 outs. Right back with you here tomorrow night, and it's brought to you by M&T Bank. Understanding what's important. Chiron Martis coming off a rough outing. He was scored upon early and often by Toronto on Sunday, and Jeremy Guthrie 5-7, trying to get that ERA down. In fact, both of them over 5.
Yeah, Guthrie coming off a good start where he beat Cole Hamels 2-1 up in Philadelphia. The Orioles sweeping last weekend series.
Here's Josh Bard swinging a great bat. And Bard now in the month of June is 17 for 43. His batting average for this month is nearing 400.
And his game calling has gotten steadily better the more reps he's getting out there. So it's not just the offense that has improved. It's working with these pitchers. He and Will taking over this team, Will Nieves, and you have to. When your starting catcher goes down like a Jesus Flores with that indefinite broken bone in his shoulder injury, somebody has to step up and take over the pitching staff, and our 2 guys have.
And their ERA, when you talk about the Nats, it's down almost 2 runs, a little bit more than 2 runs since April and May as far as the starters. Anytime you can have a starting staff, especially a young one, giving up a little bit over 3.5 runs a game, you're going to win some ball games.
And I think our staff, Jim, is just so happy to look at the major league stat sheet and see somebody else, in this case Cleveland, with a higher ERA.
Well, we're rooting for them too, because we're down there.
You're second worst to them.
Yeah.
Cleveland at 5.23, the Nats 5.17, and the O's 5.06. But at least now the Nationals know somebody else is struggling more mightily than they have.
Yes, but I don't want to get you depressed. Bob, it is Bob, isn't it? Bob? Yes, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay. But you don't have the DH over there all the time.
Of course we don't.
No. So there's a difference. So I don't want you to get.
You're not taking the air out of my balloon, Palmer.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
Not with that red shirt on. I'm not. No.
No, sir. So Josh Bard's on base again. The thing I didn't mention about Bard is on base average in June. It's around 480 now with that walk. And here's Willie Harris, who walked his first time. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rob talked about Willie hitting a 238, but he has it safely in 5 of his last 6 games at a 333 clip, and he's hit a couple of home runs. You make a mistake, he can drive it to right field. 2-1. And this is a great ballpark for left-handed hitters who can pull.
And even if you can go the other way.
It's not a very deep gap in left center, as you mentioned earlier. 3:18 to the scoreboard. Willie does turn on one, but he hooks it foul.
And it's a very slow infield that has gotten progressively faster, which helps the hitters. You know, again, the Orioles did come in leading the American League in batting average of 300, but a very slow infield early on. And
now you say progressively faster. Is that weather related, or is that by design from the ground?
Well, I think that if you talk about how slow it is enough, that eventually maybe it gets as fast as some of the other ballparks you play in.
We've heard rumors of some parks that are about to get slower, actually. And Willie Harris takes that one for a strike, and the Nationals are gone in the top of the 4th. They've left 4. It's a 1-1 game after 3.5. Buy Bud Light with just the right taste that never fills you up. The difference is drinkability. And by Acura. Acura Advance. Great setting for a ballpark and a great night for baseball. Some threatened weather toward the end of the day has held off. We actually had sunshine a little while ago and a great view in from center field. 1-1 bottom of the fourth. Aubrey Huff, Nolan Reimold, and Luke Scott for the Orioles. 50 pitches, 33 strikes so far for Ross Detweiler, and a first pitch breaking ball misses.
Yeah, I don't know how many young pitchers, and I saw the numbers. He's throwing, what, 63% of the pitches he throws for strikes. That's a high percentage for young pitchers.
Yeah. Got that ball up a little bit, and despite being in on the bad handle, Aubrey Huff lines it up the middle. Sac fly earlier. So Aubrey's off to a good start tonight. He has 48 RBIs.
See, Bob, that's what we were talking about. You get a young pitcher, and the minute he falls behind, you can look for the fastball. And even if you don't get a perfect pitch to hit, you're quicker because you're looking for it. He fights it off into center field, and I don't know if the Orioles will be off and running, but that's what they want, and that's obviously what Ross Detweiler doesn't want.
Here's Reimold, who pulled the ball to Guzman first time. And a first pitch changeup for a strike.
And there's your scouting report. Reimold, very disciplined. Good fastball hitter. Good hanging breaking ball hitter. Doesn't duck the hanging breaking ball like a lot of young hitters. He attacks it. Well, what do? Throw him a first pitch changeup. Kind of good one.
And I like that sweet sequence because now you throw the 83 and you speed it back up with 92. You just got to locate the fastball a little better.
Well, he threw what I call the zoom ball. I used to throw a lot of those when I was first coming up. They're a little bit out of control.
He waits on that one and lines it to the wall in left. Aubrey Huff heading for third. The ball is fumbled by Willingham, and the Orioles will take the lead. They could give Willingham an error for not handling that ball cleanly. I believe Huff was set to stop at third, but then Juan Samuel waved him home.
Yeah, he stopped him, and the minute he saw it, and again, with nobody out, you better be sure. And Juan Samuel does a nice job. There's your second changeup. Started him off with it, and there's your bobble you talked about, Bob. And he's stopping. See, and then he said, "Go, go, go!" And
great scouting report, by the way, on Reimold.
Yep. Well, I think he's going to be
up in the zone, and he smoked it.
I think he's going to be a terrific player.
His numbers stacking up better than any rookie in the league right now. And here's Luke Scott, who bounced back to the pitcher first time.
I would think with Reimold, though, you want to keep the ball down low, down and in. Anything up, that kid gets extension on it, he's going to crush it.
And he can hit the ball all over. Sounds a little bit like Ryan Zimmerman, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. They call it just as we saw it, double E7, no RBI.
Well, now you got to minimize damage. Now you got to forget the guy in second. You got to get Luke Scott, pop him up, strike him out. You got to stop this big inning from happening right now.
Yeah, of course, Luke should be trying to hit the ball to the right side. Make it easier for Melvin Mora, who was, he's at 150 some at bats without a home run. Fly ball could score a run. The little things, and to me, when you watch Detweiler and Bergeson go at it, it doesn't look like it's going to be a high-scoring game unless the bullpens implode. So the little things, situational hitting, you get the first guy out. Bergeson not certainly at the top of his game, but at least through the first four has somewhat kept the Nats in control.
2 balls and a strike. And a good fastball out of half to even the count.
Another thing I've noticed with our staff, Jim, is that guy will hit your best pitch, get a base hit, be a jam shot, and they'll go away from it. They don't want to throw it again because, oh, God, the guy hit that. Well, sometimes you make great pitches, but they get paid to hit it. Yeah, you can't give up on it.
We just showed you Steve McCatty. I think he's going to change that because of his basic philosophy coming out of the Oakland.
And another line drive. Reimold around third. Samuel will hold him. Elijah Dukes has 8 outfield assists this year. And the Orioles have a rally going with 2 singles around a double and an error. It'll be first and third. Nobody out for Melvin Mora.
But Jim made the point earlier on Huff. You got to get those pitches in. And even on Nick Markakis, if you don't get it in far enough, they're going to hit it. You might even jam them. It might be a good pitch, but you have to be able to locate it in and under their hands. And that's two lefties this inning have gotten base hits on jam shot singles on fastballs.
Well, there's Aubrey Huff, and he's having a nice night tonight. And Steve McCaddy, he talked about, again, not calling pitches. He said, listen, I was a young pitcher and played for Billy Martin, and he said, I made a lot of mistakes. And he said, that's not only that, the adversity that goes with it when you make those mistakes. So I'm going to let them learn on their own. He likes their arms. He likes their makeup. And there you go. That, you know, this is you talked about. It's almost like you want to work for State Farm because you got to be an adjuster. You get them out the first time, 207, second time, and then they're making adjustments. Right. You're just learning how and what you need to do.
And I think a lot of that goes to what Rob talked about earlier. Our pitchers, up until recently, they were tipping their entire hand, their entire repertoire that first time through. Now here's Melvin Moore on Washington in double play depth. That ball into right center in front of Dukes, and Baltimore will lead 3-1. Ross Detweiler got the ball up in the first inning. He kept it down in the second and the third, but the Orioles are flaring line drives off him right now.
And then Elijah Dukes takes one of those drop steps. Didn't get a good read. Ball hit off the end of the bat. I think we'll see the Exmo right here.
Yep.
You can see it down on the end of the bat.
And even with his right hand came off of the bat, so he's got no power.
And he take a step back, and by the time he got to the ball, Reimold scores to make it 3-1.
And you talked about that. Throwing it out there on Markakis' infield single. I say the same thing when it comes in. You throw it out there in the outfield perfectly and nobody can catch it. That was one of those little off the end of the bat.
Rob, you know as well as I do, part of good pitching is playing defense where you think they're going to hit it, especially to the off field.
Ed Wieters walked his first time. He's a double play candidate. He's hit into 3 of them already in his first 20 major league games.
And the one thing we saw with the Red Sox the first 2 games when they did this to our staff was their hitters are so disciplined, they'll take a single instead of striking out or going for a home run. You know, whether it was one of their big power guys or Pedroia or any of their other guys, you know, they're playing situational baseball. And right now the Orioles are beating the Nationals at it.
Joel Hanrahan, twice the closer and twice demoted, getting ready for a possible long relief appearance here.
Well, the 3 teams with the highest on-base percentage are Tampa Bay, which are leading the American League and the Major League in runs. The Red Sox are number 2 and the Yankees number 3. And their philosophy, and I think all good hitting teams have it, is that, hey, if you don't want to pitch to me, I'll let the other guy pick me up. I'll go down to first base, take that base on ball.
3-1.
Well, the one number, and you talked about it early, the fact that, again, not a lot of run support, but the ERA, very good at home. When we talk about Russ Detweiler, but what, over 8 runs?
8 runs on the road, in the 2 starts.
And that happens because he's only gone 4 and 5 innings in those 2 starts.
Not able to get over the top of the fastball at all. And the bases are loaded, nobody out. And the Orioles have a chance to put a huge number on the board this inning. Down to the number 9 man, who we know from his days in Florida, Robert Andino. Well, but here you are.
Yeah, there are the numbers.
You've walked a rookie batting 8th twice.
Well, it's just not a normal rookie, though.
Hey, we know that.
And to get to another rookie who's actually played very well since the Asturis appendectomy. Now he chases ball 1 and
after a walk.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's all right as long as it's great with the bases loaded. You can look at bases full of Orioles to look fastball but make it be a strike. I always thought if a guy was going to swing at balls, that's pretty much what you throw him. If they make you swing at strikes, your job becomes more difficult as a pitcher.
Well, and once again, on the thrown across his body, he's starting to fly out, leave his arm back, and it's dragging through for balls away from right-handed hitters.
Well, don't you think there's a tendency when you're only 23 in your 8th major league start that you lose your rhythm and you try to overthrow?
Without a doubt.
Yep.
And I said this yesterday, your mind starts rushing. And all the thoughts come to you. Oh, I can't believe I'm in this. Bases loaded, no outs. I'm already down 2 runs. You know, how am I going to get out of it? Instead of a veteran pitcher will slow himself down, slow the pace of the game down, and try to get everything under control.
And I haven't seen him throw a strike with a fastball below the belt in this inning.
But he's got himself in at least a count where he can get out of some damage.
1-2. Breaking ball hit to Zimmerman. Home for one. First for the double play. 5-2-3.
So how did you get to that count? You swung at a lot of balls, and then he makes a great pitch. We talked about the curveball. There's a good one, and then you hit it to the right guy.
Not a great throw.
Yeah,
not a great throw. Great job by Bard on that play.
Well, that's been Ryan Zimmerman's MO this year. When he has a lot of time to make a throw, he'll grip it with just about every finger in his hand and throw changeups all over the infield. When he's in a hurry, he's maybe the best throwing third baseman at his age you will ever see. So it's second and third, 2 outs now. Top of the order, Brian Roberts, and Detweiler, oddly enough, has struck him out twice.
I want to ask Jim, strikeout count, 1-2 count. He still left that pitch up in the zone. Maybe afraid as a young guy to jam that into the dirt or down in on his ankles?
Probably a little bit, yeah. I think it's always difficult to pitch with the bases loaded. I mean, right here, if you look at Brian Roberts, you know what you need to do to get him out, but can you, third time through the order, and saw the numbers, execute your pitches?
You've struck him out twice. Looking.
And the two best teams in Major League Baseball, as far as at least early in the ball game, are the Nationals, number 1, 2, 3 hitters, and then the Orioles. So even though you're facing him here in the 4th innings, the same guys.
And a bouncer to short. Guzman has to deal with the runner, and Detweiler actually does a good job of getting out of the jam. 1 RBI in the inning. Melvin Moore with a line drive base hit, and the O's lead the Nats 3-1. These two organizations together. There have been 3 players who played for both the O's, the Nats /Expos, and hit 200 home runs.
Well, Singleton is one of them. And Mike Epstein, I don't know. Tony Batista.
Tony. And obviously Zeal and Batista, many different ball clubs.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Todd Zeal about, what, 15?
I had completely forgotten about him.
That's because it's the bottom of the alphabet.
Always the last.
Yep.
That was a catcher turned infielder, Todd Zeal. Here's Anderson Hernandez, who leads off top of the 5th.
I'm not going to tell him, Bob, either, that you forgot about him. I will not bring it up when I run into him.
Well, it's a memorable family.
And you did know Zeal from St. Louis.
Yeah, I understand that.
I remember the day he got traded to the Cubs.
Well, not that well, because you forgot about the 200 home runs, Bob.
Same day Joe Torre got fired in St. Louis.
Really?
How's that for a day? You trade your third baseman to the Cubs and fire your manager.
So whose fault was it? I guess both of you, right? Rid of Zeal and Torre on the same day.
An organization guy named Mike Jorgensen, who was a pretty good hitter from Montreal, took over the team until Mr. La Russa arrived the following year. 1-2 to Anderson, and he takes a fastball up and in. Coming into this inning, Brad Bergeson, 70 pitches, 40 strikes in 4 innings of work. He has stopped Washington, 1 run on 4 hits so far, walked 2. Neither of the walks has hurt him. And Hernandez went down and golfed that breaking ball in a very good play by Aubrey Huff. That's not the first time Aubrey Huff has flashed the leather against the Nationals this year.
A very underrated first baseman. You know, we saw him mostly at third last year. I thought he played third well. So again, plenty of time here. Get in front of it, and there are the soft hands. Big glove.
Big glove, but he got his body in front of it, and just going to take some pain if it hit him, because he knows he's got time to make the play.
Here's Christian Guzman. Bergeson's retired him twice, which not many have done lately. Guzman coming into this game, 7 of his last 8 games, he's had at least 2 hits. He'll be 0 for 3 now, and an easy ground ball to Roberts.
No, this is a big inning for Bergeson too. He just got a couple more runs. He's got the lead. Got to throw a big goose egg up there.
Well, those shutdown innings they talk about, and I think he gets the sense. Jim Hunter talked about it earlier, that he's a fast learner. That's real important. I mean, anybody can tell you that, but can you actually go out and execute it and follow through with the plan?
Here's Nick Johnson, 0 for 2 with a pair of grounders to short. First pitch fastball, outer half.
Well, you got to remember the Nationals got to Bergeson in Washington on that Sunday afternoon in the 6th inning.
And Adam Dunn did it without pulling the ball. How to play left side, Nick Johnson. Not a whole lot doing for the Nationals 1-2-3 hitters tonight, but they're right up there with the best in baseball with Jeter and company. And the Orioles with Roberts, Jones, and Markakis.
And the Dodgers have been phenomenal this year, even without Manny Ramirez, who's less than a week away from coming back.
2 of those 5 teams in last place. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe the 1-2-3 hitters shouldn't be so good. It should be the 4-5-6.
Make them the 1-3-5 and put somebody between them.
Yeah, right. Well, they get numbers for everything now, and of course, when the Mets came in, David Wright, as he still is, was hitting the highest average in the National League. He's a sucker that misses down and away, and of course, everybody was saying that they should move him from from 5th to 3rd or 4th or whatever, because if you start looking at the total at bats you get in a year, it's something like 780 to 730, depending on where you hit in the lineup. So the theory.
Nick Johnson takes another one.
Another curveball.
He's wearing a shin guard, of course, tonight.
Right, I think they get him in the toe bone.
Yeah.
And I saw Nick in the clubhouse today. That lump on his shin had totally disappeared. So he gets hit for the 2nd straight night.
Yep. Ooh. Ouch. Well, last night it was a breaking ball by John Smoltz. Right in that, you see where that shin pad is, the old soccer shin guard.
So no Dancing with the Stars for Nick?
Nope. It's 2 left feet.
Although his wife tells us he's really a good karaoke guy.
Yeah, he fancies himself a big singer.
Like that singing.
Yeah.
I saw right before the Orioles played him. He was not Wired Wednesday or whatever.
We covered the bases
on
Thursday.
Right.
Massing's everywhere, Jim. It's maximum access.
Exactly.
1-2 or 1-4-2 is Ryan Zimmerman tonight.
Except when it comes to Todd Zeal. We didn't cover him.
Not one of our keen efforts tonight on trivia.
We don't have that anymore over here, and I'm so happy because self-image is a real important part of life, guys. You understand that, right?
Absolutely.
So, every once in a while, you want to get one of those questions right.
We were hot early.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But then they started.
Slump.
Then they started going to page 550 of the media guide.
Yep. Okay. These guys are getting the mile to above mile questions.
Well,
we're going to go to the extra MIT questions.
There are some of us who don't think statistics are really trivia.
Well, but even trivia.
Trivia is players' names and ball clubs and ballparks.
Names, dates, history,
not numbers.
Geographical.
Do you think we're explaining this away well at all?
No.
I didn't either. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Zimmerman. As Rob mentioned, when he's going well, he hits the ball to right center a lot. And when he's going bad, he swings at breaking balls way outside. A good inning for Bergeson despite the hit batter. Halfway through, O's 3-1. Well, early, but a couple of jams Ross Detweiler got himself into, but the big 5-2-3 double play is the primary reason this is still just a 3-1 game, and then Guzman able to make that play on the slow roller. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Bob Carpenter back with Rob Dibble and Jim Palmer. So interesting ball game so far, but the O's probably should be further ahead.
Well, we know that. They do that a lot, but I got to think that Detweiler looked like he was out of command. And what's the key to being a starting pitcher? Both of these pitchers have done it. They're both 23. Make the guys playing behind you think they have a chance to win. That double play was huge, not only for the Nationals, but for Detweiler, because he makes everybody think they're still in the game.
And Bergeson did a great job right after that. You score a couple of runs, you get the lead 3-1, you go right back out there, put a big 0 up there. That'll keep the momentum in the Orioles dugout.
Interesting interleague series over the years against these guys. Nationals were able to sweep here 2 years ago, but in the other 2 series at Camden Yards, both in 06 and 08, the Orioles have taken 2 out of 3. And Detweiler, Adam Jones takes one outside, and the bottom of the 5th is underway.
Well, and Jim, you talked about this. A young guy gets a little bit flustered, starts overthrowing, and starts throwing a lot more balls, and his pitch count rises quickly.
See the difference when he keeps the ball down?
Well, that's my point. And I think one of the great things is that if you went back and we had shot him on the bench, Steve McCaddy, the pitching coach, taking over for Randy St. Clair, I'm sure they had a conversation. Hey, get back in your groove. Start pitching down in the strike zone. When you do that, you get the ground balls.
It seems so simple.
Well, it is simple, and you have to also give yourself a little bit more credit. You know, you're looking at a really tough Orioles offense, but you're getting the ball up, you're making their job easy. And like Jim said, you want to make their job difficult. So if you keep the ball down, you get ahead of the hitters, they're going to start expanding their zone and swinging at bad pitches.
Yeah, and I think a point you made also is that when you get in the middle of an inning, especially when you're in your 8th major league start, the game does speed up. Now all of a sudden you get out of trouble, you go talk to your pitching coach, and then you hope you're back into your rhythm.
And because the righties were hitting so well off of him, and tonight the lefties seem to be getting the best of Detweiler, could he maybe concentrating too much, Jim, on these right-handed guys in the lineup and not concentrating enough on the left-handed hitters? And there he throws a pitch way in on Nick Markakis to get him off the plate.
Take a look, and again, I think one of the keys to pitching, especially against left-handers, Rob, is can you move their feet? You don't have to hit them, you just get them dancing a little bit, especially when you come on the outside corner on the next pitch.
Yeah, that's a good follow-up right there.
Well, you make him dance, move his feet.
Well, I saw that with Rafael Palmeiro. They would just, they'd be trying to get him out with changeups and slow curveballs, and they would just throw down and in, make him move his feet, kind of, hurt the foundation of what you're trying to do as a hitter. I mean, you're trying to, as a pitcher, change the rhythm of how they're hitting, the timing and whatever, and they're trying to get really prepared and keep their legs underneath them. So that's what that down inside fastball where you have to skip does.
Markakis 1 for 2 with an infield hit, and a bouncer to the right of Anderson Hernandez. So in April, does that ball get picked off?
Yes, it does. They just speeded up the infield, and again, if you go to Texas, you go to Boston, you go to Yankee Stadium, you go to certainly Toronto, the AstroTurf.
Oh, we just noticed it at Yankee Stadium.
Yep,
big time.
Well, yeah, I mean, throw more home runs in that ballpark than anywhere else, and then you get a fast infield. It is going to be very difficult to pitch in those ballparks.
Here's Aubrey Huff.
But how do you figure out the Orioles' ERA on the road is 6.02, and at home it's 4.3. So, friendly confines, slow infield. Now it's a fast infield, yet they're still pitching better here.
Jim, does the mound have anything to do with that?
Well, I haven't been out there lately, Bob, but I don't think so. Obviously some mounds, that Rob will certainly tell you this, testify to it, works better than others. I always thought the ones that Dodger Stadium, that's when I pitched in that first World Series game when I was 20. Some parks, you feel like you're closer to home plate than others.
Oh, absolutely. Wrigley, I love pitching at Wrigley because of that stone back wall. It seemed like it was 10 feet behind home plate. Plus the shadows in the afternoon help.
We've had pitchers tell us when you're pitching in Cincinnati or Philadelphia, you feel like the left center field wall's 20 feet behind you.
Well, how about Fenway when there's green paint on the back of your on your rear end after the game.
Yeah.
The late Pat Dobson, we were always thinking, of course, the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Tigers were some of our big opponents, and they traded for Marty Patton. And the late Pat Dobson did a whole pantomime of Patton pitching in Fenway, shaking off signs. He never ever got to throwing a pitch because he was so nervous. Now, we had never seen him pitch there, but it's just there are certain ballparks that the bleachers are entirely too close.
Did you have any ballparks that just you didn't like the mound?
Seattle. Well, I just didn't like Seattle.
You just didn't like Seattle?
Yeah.
That was a bandbox.
Yeah.
And a fastball up and in that Huff can't catch up with. And the count goes to 3-2.
So you weren't a big fan of arena baseball?
No. Trying to think of where else.
Minnesota, maybe?
No, I like. They had some real good hitters there, but so did we. All kind of even out on the teams that I played for.
3-2. We'll see if the O's do something with the runner. He's holding. And a bouncing ball right side. Hernandez wheels to Guzman, and that's a nice looking 4-6-3. Nationals turn their second double play of the night. Dunn, Willingham, and Dukes ahead in the 6th. To choose from. Pick your plan, your games, your seats, and get a free game. It's that easy. For more info on the all-new Grand Slam Flex plans, 202-675-NATS, or visit nationals.com/Grand Slam, which is what Adam Dunn did to the Orioles the last time these two clubs got together at Nationals Park. He's 0 for 2 tonight with a hard line drive to right and a swinging strikeout. And a good sinker on the corner, low and away for a strike.
And the one thing I do like about Matt Wieters is that he's a huge target. I had Joe Oliver, who's about 6'4", 6'5", 250. Where does he go? About 6'6"?
Yeah, 6'5".
Good pitch. Took a little bit off.
Yeah, ran in perfect location.
Now, did you throw to shoulders, knees, stuff like? Because I threw to the whole square of the catcher, not just his glove.
Well, you know, Rick Dempsey used to have the orange
ring around his glove.
Yeah, the day glow.
Fastball up. Wieters, by the way, listed at 6'5", 230. And I talked to Rick Dempsey before the game, and he told me that he's still trying to get comfortable back there. Maybe a little bit too much movement here and there.
Well, that's what Jim Fregosi, who's in town scouting, he was down in Florida. And you know, sometimes it could be a little late with a target. See, now he really is much better tonight about it. And I know Don Werner, who is really the roving catching instructor, said, you know, this is a young guy. He's only 22 years old. He said, what Jim Hunter said, you said he's, what, 20 games in the big leagues?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy McPhail, the general manager of the Orioles, and he said, listen, it's not like you're just an outfielder. You go put the glove up, outrun the ball. There's a lot of things going on when you have to catch. You got to call the game. You got to receive it. You got to frame the pitches. You are 6'5". Sandy Alomar Jr. said, and probably the best thing, I told a story when the Mets were in, he said, Dennis Martinez told me, give me a shoulder, give me a knee, give me a target. Rook, you know, I mean, this was a veteran pitcher.
Adam Dunn breaks his bat, a breaking ball that got right in on his trademark.
Well, and it's difficult, too, today, Jim, because so many guys do that little peripheral peek back to see location. They're trying to pick apart, especially a rookie catcher, where he's setting up. Is he setting up too early inside? Is he setting up too early outside? But always want the glove up there as quickly as possible, just to, get a feel for where I'm going to be visualizing this breaking ball, backdoor, inside, whatever.
Yeah. And last night I was watching not only the Nationals and the Red Sox, but also the Orioles and the Marlins, and I was watching Veritek, who, again, another switch hitter, and he gets a target early, kind of relaxes, and then it comes up right then when you're looking. So again, I think this is a work in progress, and why would anybody, I don't care how highly touted you are, just expect to come to the big leagues and not have to improve?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that mitt sure looks small on his hand.
Well, that's what Danny Alomar said. He may have had the softest hands of any young catcher he's seen.
Breaking ball stays outside, and Adam Dunn, after being in a deep hole, works it back to 3-2. This is one of the most selective hitters in baseball, 399 on base average, and he's second in the National League in walks with 57. Adrian Gonzalez of San Diego, 59. This one looks playable if someone can get there. The shift was on, and that's a long run for Melvin Mora to make that play in foul ground.
Well, when Melvin came over from the Mets, started with Houston, he was a shortstop, center fielder.
Yep.
So right there, you're playing third base, but you're playing at shortstop. There's Melvin, and there he goes. Big out. He goes, Dunn looked like he wanted to try to get on 2 runs down.
That's Adam after the play.
0 for 3 tonight. And here's Willingham. Josh is 1 for 2.
I think the Orioles, and I don't know if Brad Bergeson, he was sent out early, even though he had a great spring for the Orioles, because they said, we're going to let you start at AAA. Josh Wellington with the grand slam when the Orioles went to play the Nationals off of Alfredo Simon.
Oh, the exhibition
in the exhibition game. So I think they all know. If you look at Matt Albers, sinking ball right-handed. Right-handed getting loose.
Josh Willingham, 9 homers, 16 RBIs. At one point last week, he had 9 homers and 13 RBIs. There just haven't been anybody on base this year when he's hit his home runs. And he's third on the club.
A couple of pitches away from 100 now.
And he's also hitting 115 with runners in scoring position. So when he does get opportunities.
How did he reach that breaking ball on 1 and 2?
And it's been difficult, though, when you have about 5 or 6 outfielders, getting enough at bats, getting them playing time, keeping them all with an edge. It has not been easy for Manny Acta this year.
Yeah, that might be down to 4 now because Austin Kern's playing time, if Willingham produces, will be severely curtailed. He's in a big time slump. Willingham will hit that fastball foul.
Bergeson working off the first base side of the rubber to bring that sinker back across the plate and down in on a right-hander. Did you change sides of the rubber?
No, I stood pretty much maybe a couple of inches over towards the middle of the rubber.
Did you push off the rubber?
Oh yeah, I thought I was.
I mean, because I've watched a lot of tape of you, of Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax had half of his spikes up on top and half pushing off, and that's what it's there for. A lot of guys just dig a hole and step in it.
Or if you're Jamie Moyer, you can actually cheat 4 or 5 inches. He'll take his windup.
He's not the only one. I was taught that.
Really?
Yeah, on a trip to Japan with an all-star team. Some of the American League pitchers taught me how to get an extra yard on my fastball. I'm like, you're about 5 years too late for that. Thanks.
Well, here's your
Grumman.
Yeah, here's your sinker you talked about.
Yep.
And again, the ability to one bad inning that Brad Bergeson had, and Elijah Dukes kind of ran himself out of it, was when he got behind everybody, and that has changed.
And our pitch track tonight brought to you by Northrop Grumman, the information systems powerhouse. Base is empty, 2 outs. Elijah Dukes.
Now, were you taught to push off the rubber?
In Little League in Beverly Hills. Come on. Well, they said Daniel Cabrera didn't do that. He put his foot on top of the rubber. I never knew that. Didn't do it the day I was watching him throw down in Chicago.
I always use the rubber like a sprinter.
We saw him backing up third quite a bit.
Like a sprinter gets out of the block.
Yeah.
You're pushing towards home plate.
Of course. That's why it's out there.
1-1 to Dukes. They've been giving him a steady dive and breaking stuff away. The bat flew right past the pitcher's head. That was chuck and duck for Brad Bergeson. He gets the ground ball to Ryan Robertson. A 1-2-3, top of the 6th. Orioles lead 3-1. This was dangerous.
Against the Nationals. Koji returned home from Florida today with the team. He met with team doctors, and although the reports were good that the swelling and the inflammation in his elbow seems to have subsided a bit, it seems that the Orioles aren't prepared to put him back out on the mound. Andy MacPhail is going to talk to the team doctors again to decide what the next step will be. It's widely believed that David Hernandez will be recalled from AAA Norfolk to get the start. Back to you guys in the booth.
12 starts for Uehara, 4.05 ERA. He's 2-4, Jim. And that ball bangs off the mound and a base hit for Nolan Reimold. He's 2 for 3.
Well, there you go. Low fastball, middle of the plate. He was talking today. He said the biggest problem he had in the minor leagues was kind of balance. You know, in pitching, as you mentioned, you kind of push off the rubber. You got to load when you hit. And he said he'd be bobbing and weaving. And now with Terry Crowley, the hitting instructor for the Orioles, I tell you what, he was our guy that was supposed to be hitting home runs in the minor leagues. I am surprised how good a hitter he is, and in a very positive way. Never better than advertised.
And a first pitch strike under the hands of Luke Scott. Pulled a base hit last time up. He was the runner forced at home on that key 5-2-3 double play that might be the play of the game right now for Washington. The difference between being down 3-1 and maybe 4 or 5 runs. Breaking ball outside, counts even.
Well, if you're Ross Detweiler, you look at the 9 guys in the Orioles lineup, and the one guy he got into to bounce into the double play is the guy you better get out, and he had to do it with the bases loaded. Looks like Arizona Highway magazine right there.
That's a beautiful sky behind the warehouse. This is a beautiful stadium.
Did you ever train in Arizona?
Once.
Did he really? Yeah, because I grew up in Scottsdale. I mean, he went to high school there.
Wow. Well, I've had a lot of players tell me they love it there because the weather's the same every day.
Never rain.
They get their work in. They know what their schedule's going to be. It's a lot less volatile than Florida. And a good swing by Luke Scott. That's going to push Reimold all the way to third base. And Baltimore with a corner situation. Nobody out here in the 6th.
Yeah, nice at bat again by Luke Scott. Jim Hunter talked about he can be streaky. He's not too streaky when you get fastballs in the middle of the plate, and that's what this is. And again, it's not a bad pitch because it hits the corner. He just goes with it. A nice play right there by Willingham to keep it from being a double.
That's a slow walk to the mound as Matty Acta is about to go into his bullpen.
Now, don't you think maybe a combination of the scoreboard and the pitch count? And
well,
you need a strikeout pitcher.
5 hits tonight have been the left-handers. So lefties getting too much. Let's do a pitcher breakdown. This is Bergeson. Got in a little bit of a jam, but he was picked up by a great throw. Mora with a great tag. And then Ross Detweiler got into trouble. Hanging change up to Reimold. He drives in Aubrey Huff. Off the end of the bat to Melvin Mora. Another run's going to come in. Reimold scores on that play. Right now, 3-1 the ball game. You see Detweiler, he's done for the night. Brad Bergeson has made much better pitching job tonight than Detweiler. And so Bergeson's up 3-1, and now the bullpen is in, Bob, for the Nationals.
Under a beautiful late June sky here near the Inner Harbor, and it's the struggling Joel Hanrahan. 5 saves on the year to lead the staff, but he's been demoted from the closer's role a second time. He throws hard enough to get strikeouts or pop-ups in a situation like this when you need that. And there's the high fastball for the strike.
Yeah, that's what he's looking for. You know, Melvin Mora came into the game, hadn't hit a home run in, 149 at-bats. So the power number's down, even though Rob showed you that soft single to right for an RBI.
But Rob will also tell you, Jim, this is a pitcher who gets himself in trouble when he tries to trick people with that slider.
Well, we saw him early on, and we talked about the grand slam by Willingham in the exhibition game. Hanrahan came in with a 1-run lead, threw some balls right by, came back with sliders, sped up the bat, and they took advantage of it. But he does have the kind of stuff that you need to try to come in and strike people out if he can command it.
There's the slider.
Yep.
Down the line in left. It's 4-1 Baltimore. They're going to send the other runner, Luke Scott. Nationals missed the cutoff man. And on a breaking ball, those runs will be charged to Ross Detweiler, closing the book on him. Those 3 pitches might be the microcosm of Hanrahan's season.
Well, he gets ahead with the fastball. He gets beat with the breaking ball. And if you're a hitter and a guy throws 95, you're hoping he throws you an off-speed pitch. Mora just kills it. Bad relay right there. Hernandez falls down trying to make the catch. They wouldn't have had Scott at home anyway. But, Bob, I mean, if you can't trust your best pitch, which is your fastball, and you continually get beat with a breaking ball, you just don't have the confidence possibly to pitch up here.
Well, that's a good point. And what do you do best? From what I've seen, it's throw the heater.
Absolutely.
And then you know, if you throw it enough and command it, then you can pitch out of the strike zone with your slider.
And we've always felt that we shouldn't even see a slider until he's 0-2 or 1-2, and then you bury it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you too many for strikes.
Yeah, you throw it in a situation, as you guys know, that you don't have to throw it for a strike. But again, if you're doing your due diligence as a reliever, you look at the numbers as Matt Wieder steps to the plate, and you go, oh, Melvin Mora, 149 at bats without a home run. Maybe he doesn't have the bat speed at age 37 that he used to. What do I do best?
Same thing with David Ortiz. We just saw him, and he crushes a Craig Stammen changeup. You helped him
on a 3-2 pitch.
Now Jordan Zimmerman faces Ortiz last night. He blows him away late, popping it up to left field, not even close to the fastball.
All 5 runs charged to Detweiler. He goes 5+, gives up 9 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. A couple of double play balls kept that line from being worse. Then you look up and it's 3-1 on the next hitter.
And I know you would never be disrespectful to hitters, and you faced multiple Hall of Famers in your career, but you probably didn't think anybody could hit your stuff.
Well,
I mean, when you get up, I mean, you within reason.
Yeah.
You have to believe you can't hit my stuff.
That's a fastball, hit a mile and foul.
Yeah, mile towards the warehouse.
Wieder's making a bid for his 3rd big league home run. As always, some fans in the corner pointing fair. That ball was not that far from going right over the top of that foul pole. And Jim, here at Camden Yards, that's not one of the taller foul poles in baseball.
No, it isn't. And this ball is launched. The 2 home runs that Matt Wieters has hit this year have been to left field.
Well, the one thing you don't want to do with a guy with power is let him get his arms extended, so the fastball's either got to be way in or way away.
And then Hanrahan does come back.
For the breaking ball.
Yep. It was down in the zone, and that's the first out here in the 6th. Celebrate the 4th of July weekend with us in Washington next week. Braves are in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Pre-game music, post-game fireworks Friday. On Saturday, July 4th, first 20,000 fans receive mini USA flags. And Sunday, July 5th, Family Day, featuring pre-game autographs, and the kids run the bases after the game. 888-632-NATS. Nationals.com. It'll be a 3-game homestand after the Nationals go to Florida after Sunday game right here in Baltimore. This is almost like being home. The Nationals commute up here on a daily basis. Robert Andino 0 for 2 with a pair of ground balls to Ryan Zimmerman. Not a good place to hit the ball lately.
Well, now it's like Joel's mad and he's throwing the ball with conviction. Threw a great slider to Wieters. Now he's throwing fastballs right by guys, but you shouldn't have to give up a couple of runs again.
Well, you're right. And if you go back and look at it, he was a starting pitcher in the minor leagues.
Yep.
So he should have a pretty good sense of really how to. Since this guy should not be a thrower, he should be a pitcher.
And then he buries the slider.
Well, but you got to throw it.
Yeah.
You got to throw it. And
you got to finish it.
You got to finish it. You got to have a good follow through the mechanics. But getting back to my point about the hitters, I mean, you have to believe they can't hit your stuff.
If you make your pitches.
If you make your pitches.
And, you defense to the way you pitch them. If you're going to throw them away, you play them a couple of steps. Again, Matt Hobgood, our #1 draft choice, is going to sign tomorrow. I guess we'll probably see him tomorrow night. I said, what you try to do as a pitcher, whether you're relieving, you try to concise the field. The field's big.
Yes.
But if you can command your stuff, you can play him a couple of steps. I mean, overplay him, but all of a sudden the field gets smaller. You have more defensive players in a smaller area. It makes sense to me. And try to keep the ball in the ballpark.
Well, and then say you got the bases loaded, 1 out. I'm 1 pitch from getting out of this inning. All I need is a ground ball to one of my infielders. And so you try to put that breaking ball or whatever pitch where you want the guy to hit it. He hits it on the ground. You're out of a jam.
At second base, Mora, who's driven in 3 runs tonight. One of his biggest RBI nights of the year. He only has 21. Hanrahan had Andino reaching.
But if you're in a situation, say, and I said this earlier in the year, when he gave up a 2-run home run, the only thing that guy was trying to do is hit a home run in that situation. So the one pitch you don't want to give him is anything up that he can get his arms extended and beat you with a home run. If he gets a base hit, he gets a base hit. But he hung a changeup or a curveball and left the park.
Looked like Andino was almost ready to ask for time from Brian Knight. There was some uncertainty in the batter's box, and then Hanrahan stepped off anyway. But this is a hitter with very little power. It'll be interesting to see what he throws on 3 and 2. Fastball up, and he's late.
And that tells you try to read the bat. The one thing about Robert Andino, and the Orioles coming from Florida where they got swept by the Marlins, he hit a walk-off home run when he was a Marlin last year against the Mets. But the one thing he's done, and Theo Epstein of the Red Sox, their general manager, said, I'm into run production and run prevention. Since he's taken over with the injury to his torus, he has played great shortstop. So there's your prevention.
Bouncing ball, Zimmerman deflects it to Guzman. That will serve to keep the runner Mora at second base. But Ryan Zimmerman has amazing range from that third base corner.
There's your low slider. This one a good one. And again, we're at a great angle right here, and you could see Zimmerman, about 4 steps. No 2 steps in a dive for Ryan.
You know what's one thing, Jim, you will never see? The ball go under his glove. Even when he's on the move, he's got the glove down coming up. That ball glanced off the thumb of his glove, and it's first and second, 1 out. He really is a remarkable glove man at third base.
Well, I was doing a game in Detroit with Brooks, and Alan Trammell caught a ball, and Brooks was doing color. I was doing play-by-play, and he said, best fielding mechanics that I've seen in a long, long time. And I said, well, maybe when we'll come back on a slow-mo and now an X-mo, and you'll show us. And he started talking. This is a guy with 16 gold glove, Brooks Robinson. I used to have trouble keeping my glove down, and they told me to lay it on the ground.
Get it dirty.
You can always come up, you can't go down.
Exactly.
And to hear Brooks talk about that, I mean, this is a guy that would go on to be the human vacuum cleaner and MVP in '64 and MVP of the World Series in '70.
If it wasn't for the throws, Ryan Zimmerman might have already clinched the Gold Glove this year. He's never won one, of course. David Wright is the incumbent right now, and they're about even in the number of errors.
Well, Wright's having some throwing problems too.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody who's watched the two of them would tell you David Wright's a better third baseman.
But he does play in New York.
He does, and he hits, and that sometimes leads to Gold Gloves. 3-0.
Getting back to Brooks Robinson, got to have some great hand-eye coordination.
Brooks, he was
catching those balls.
Yeah, he was terrific and wasn't afraid to knock the ball down.
Right.
Played the hitters. It's kind of interesting. You don't know what you're missing until he leaves. He was that good. Never out of position.
Who played third base after he left?
Doug DeCinces.
He was excellent too.
Yeah, he was a very good third baseman, but compared to Brooks, and
right.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult.
That's like catching after Johnny Bench.
Who did? Joe Oliver. But
No,
there were other ones before him.
Joe, yeah.
My point is you don't really remember.
Absolutely.
There's Dave Trebley.
With a catcher's mitt sitting right behind him.
Yeah.
3-2. 1 out, 2 men on, 2 runs in already. And Hanrahan not even close. The bases are loaded. Another thing that has alarmed the Nationals at times is when Hanrahan is in a count, he'll miss by 2 or 3 feet. And he'll have 1 or 2 of those kind of pitches. So the bases are loaded, 1 out.
Let's take a look at Adam Jones coming in at 203, but right here gets a good pitch to hit, doubles down the left field line early in the ball game, first time up. There's your Exmo right here. Again, the ground ball in his second at bat, and the third one almost looks like a carbon copy. So Adam with a couple of ground outs and a double, 1 for 3 tonight. Chance to erase some of the bad numbers of June. I mean, the one thing about Adam Jones, he's just been so terrific. I mean, he had 359 his first month, 333, 203 home runs, 4, 7, and only 1 this month, 18 and 18 in RBIs, and then 7.
But as you said, every team the Orioles are going to play for the next 2-3 weeks are scouting Adam Jones tonight.
Well, that's the day we talk about adjustment.
Yep.
But I tell you what, he's a very likable kid, terrific athlete. He's going to turn 24 in August.
He was 0 for 11 in that series at Florida. 5 of 13 at Philly right before that, and there's a swing and a miss.
Had a backup slider.
Yep.
Now Zimmerman is just beyond the second to third base line. Everybody else is at double play depth here, despite being down 4 and 1 out. That'll be 0-2 now.
Yeah, and I think what Ryan's thinking about, okay, if I get a double play ball, I'll probably go for the double play if it's hit sharply. Otherwise, I'm coming home to cut off the run, and that's what you have to do when the Orioles are looking for at least that 6th, possibly more runs.
Boy, a big crowd tonight. Ballpark really filled up.
Firework night.
No balls, 2 strikes to Jones. That one headed upper tank, right side.
No, the interesting thing when there's the bullpen for the Nationals. Yep, the veteran lefty. I ran some of Adams' numbers, and 0-1 when usually you're behind. He's like 12 for 24. So again, a hitter in his second major league year, having a much better year than last year.
And a slider hit into right field. 6-1 Baltimore as the merry-go-round continues.
Well, there's that situational hitting, changing your hitting approach. And Adam Jones took a breaking ball right here from Hanrahan, and he smacks it into right field. Look at the Exmo. Head down, open up the hip, but his hands are back far enough to hit that into right. That's going to do it for Hanrahan.
Yeah, awfully good pitch.
Faces 5 batters and retires 1.
Yeah, not what you want from your middle relief by any means.
It'll be Ron Vallone against Nick Markakis. Lefty-lefty matchup coming up, and the Orioles trying to put this game away early. transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles and Nationals. Bob Carpenter, Rob Dibble, Jim Palmer, Jim Hunter, Amber Theo Harris, Debbie Taylor. From Oriole Park at Camden Yards, it's all O's right now, and Ron Vallone inherits a bases loaded 1-out situation. Lefty-lefty matchup with Markakis.
They've done a nice job against left-handed batters, only .222. In fact, the same with righties.
Markakis 2 for 3 tonight, pair of singles.
Well, Vallone's nemesis is standing on deck.
Well, he hit that triple, and
yep. But I asked Ron the next day, and he said, well, the last couple of times I faced him, he smoked a fastball up and a slider away. So he was going to try and throw him a fastball up and in, and he killed it.
Aubrey Huff, the man they're talking about, who's 1 for 2 with a sac fly.
And those are some nice numbers for Vallone. But right here with 1 out, you don't need a base hit. You certainly settle for it. Fly ball will get a run in.
That's the base hit. 1 hopper to Dukes. The merry-go-round is still spinning, and it's 7-1.
Well, Rick Dempsey was talking in the pregame. He said, I don't know about the Orioles were trailing in Florida the other night. They got 5 straight hits to tie the game up in the 9th inning. So right here, I mean, Nick Markakis he's a 300 lifetime hitter. And it's not getting any worse. He's only 25 years old. He can flat out hit.
And his batting average coming into that AB was .301. He's now 3 for 4 tonight. Here's Aubrey Huff.
Well,
he can get in lefties, righties, yeah.
Well, but bases loaded. You got to throw some strikes. Kind of,
oh, yeah.
You know, and that was a running fastball, ran down and in on him. He crushed it.
A lot of times, you get left-handers to roll over on that 2-seamer. And now the nemesis.
13 Baltimore hits, a club hitting over 300 at home this year. Jim, I thought you said the fireworks were after the game.
No, we started a little early. Oh, Huff's only 6 for 11. Off of Vallone. Rob, I suppose it could be worse. When Bruce Chen was here, Teixeira was 6 for 10 with 5 home runs.
Wow.
That'd be a guy you pitch around, wouldn't you? I would have.
2-0 count. And a bouncer over Nick Johnson. Roberts scores. Jones scampering home. It's 9-1 Baltimore. And those last 4 runs charged to Joel Hanrahan, who already had a 6.68 ERA.
Let's take the bat right here to Huff. Throws him a big breaking ball outside. Going to come back with a hard fastball away. It runs nice. Throws him a hard fastball down and in, and he just beats it off the hard dirt right over Nick Johnson's head.
Well, again, the scoreboard dictates you play in to try to cut off the run. Otherwise, that's at least 1 out.
Yeah, but that's a big, strong man.
Oh, yeah.
And he crushed that ball right in front of home plate all the way over Nick Johnson's head.
On our newer, faster infield. Makes a difference, especially when you play the infield in.
Hey, with this offense, make that thing into a parking lot.
Here's the thing, it's the same way for both teams.
Oh, yeah, it is. And, you know, again, the lower ERA here at home versus the road, batting average up, runs scored up, record up. 21-17 coming in versus 11-23 on the road for the Orioles.
Nolan Reimold started this inning with a base hit up the middle. He bats for the 2nd time. Still only 1 out. 9 hitters, 1 retired. Wieters on a strikeout after he hit the ball over 400 feet, just foul. So nobody's been fooled in the Baltimore 6th. Orioles came in 6th in the American League at 270, 10th in runs. a play to the right side. The count will be even, 2-2. Well, these clubs have been getting together in interleague play, the Battle of the Beltways, since the 06 season. They did not play in 05, Washington's first year after coming from Montreal. The Nationals lead the all-time series 11-10 in this ballpark. Washington 5-4, but the O's about to equalize a lot of things here tonight. Two and two to Reimold.
No, there's that discipline at the plate. Malone tries to hit the inside corner, just misses. Too many young hitters
would have been swinging.
Yeah, they really would have been.
Yep.
2-2. I got to really cover. But you got to also trust your umpires.
Three-two pitch. Now it's 10-1. Oh, pardon me, bases were not loaded, but they are now.
No, it seemed like they were loaded.
Yeah, it only seems that way. Second walk of the inning to go with 7 hits.
Well, this is a perfect example of what happens when the inning starts spiraling out of control. You come in, you try to be perfect. I mean, Ron Malone's been around the block. He knows how to pitch. And he gets behind Huff. He pounds that one in the dirt, goes into right field. Markakis, he got ahead of Markakis. He hit a pitch. Now you figure you get the bases loaded. He's watched Scott get a couple of hits his last time up. It is difficult to pitch under these circumstances for anybody, whether it's the Orioles or the Nationals. Or
Lou Scott 2 for 3 tonight. His batting average at .299. And that'll be a double play ball that Guzman boots. Now it's 10-1. A one-hopper just to his left. And Tristan Guzman has had a horrible time on balls hit to his left this year.
Bob, don't you think that maybe Huff gets in the way here? I don't know if we can see it from this angle, but it looked to me he blinded him. So he doesn't see that ball.
Yep.
Pretty routine. I don't think he picks it up at all, and the ball was hit sharply, but it was a perfect double play ball. Get him out of the inning.
Guzman's 10th error of the year. Washington with 68 errors. And guys are swinging from the heel, smelling blood here. The hitters Mora, Huff, Reimold, and Scott on the bases.
Well, Jim made a great point about rhythm at the plate, and guys that'll just stand there unless you make their feet move or put them back on their heels. Guys start swinging like that. Mike Piazza, he looked like he was half asleep at the plate. He was so comfortable, and not a lot of people will try to get inside on him or make him move. Eddie Murray, now on the other hand, he'd disrupt your groove or your tempo. He kept calling timeout. He'd step out. He'd change up your tempo.
Well, how about Evan Longoria? Have you had a chance to him and play with the Rays? It looks like, it looks like it's still Little League, and he's 12 and all the other kids are 9.
Yep. And if you let them do that, they will get so comfortable. They will, just like an inning like this, just knock you around, even when you're making good pitches.
You know, that and the confidence.
Yeah.
You get on a roll. The guy in front of you has a good at bat. We saw that with Adam Jones. Hit a good slider down the way into right field. And Markakis comes back. He does. What is he? 1 for 9 off of Malone. Malone gets ahead of him. He hits a single into left. Just steamrolls.
Well, and Adam Jones came in 0 for 11 out of that Florida series. He looked like he's in a 30-game hitting streak himself.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Mora. He's driven in 3 with a single and a double tonight.
Well, a chance for a huge RBI night.
Ballpark holds 48,300 Camden Yards.
And I think
not many empty seats tonight,
if any.
Ball 2.
Now, one thing about Melvin, you pitch him away, he's usually going to hit the ball hard. The spot, and Balone hit it for strike 2, is up and in. And you can still do it in this count. But when you go to 3-2 and the bases are loaded, even if it's 10-1, it's tough to make the perfect pitch in that count.
In this inning, Ross Detweiler did not retire a batter, facing 2. Hanrahan faced 5, retired 1. Vallone has faced 4, hasn't retired anybody. Should have had 1 man, Scott, but the Guzman error, and now it's 3-2 with the bases loaded. Right side, heading for the seats.
You know, and if you look at Ron Vallone, he's certainly been in this situation before. What is his 12th major league team? He's pitched in 45 different major league ballparks. I mean, this is not like trying to come in and get Markakis out and with a 1-run lead.
Oh, he could be a little tired too. He's pitching a lot since he was brought up.
Nationals only had to use 1 reliever, Tyler Clippard, in his Washington debut last night to get through 9 innings of a blowout of Boston. Jesus Colome's been running hot and cold lately. And another 3-2 pitch with 1 out. In the air to right, Elijah Dukes has a rocket for an arm. The throw comes home, so's the runner. It's high, and the Orioles lead 11-1. Pretty good at bat by Melvin Mora. Quite a battle to stay alive, and he gets his 4th RBI of the night.
Yeah, the Guzman error really hurts because it allows him to score another run without getting a base hit.
Watch Luke Scott right here go back and tag up. Does a great job going to second on the throw that does not go to the cutoff man.
Well, again, I think if you're going to, and the Orioles have been struggling with their base running, I mean, that's the way you're taught to do it in spring training. Even if the scoreboard is what it is, 11-1. So what?
13th batter in the inning is Matt Wieters.
4 RBIs for Melvin?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Wieters and Roberts, the only 2 lineup spots for the Orioles without a base hit tonight. He's walked twice and struck out.
It's not too often you'll come up left-handed your first at bat, switch around, come up right-handed your next at bat in the same inning.
Well, it does help with the breaking ball. I mean, other than your changeup or your screwball, it's usually coming at you. Well, he's hit at every level, and he's made the adjustment. No higher level than the major leagues.
He's getting on base. 2 walks tonight, on base 12 of his last 13 games. And a backdoor breaking ball, 1-2.
Well, Don Werner, we talked about the roving catching instructor, said he was watching him hit in spring training, and they were down by 4 runs in the 9th inning, and count went to 3-1, and took it automatically because he understands how to play the game. he's going to eventually figure it out. He's going to certainly get a chance to play.
That ball driven to right center. Elijah Dukes will run it down. 7 hits, couple of walks, an error, and the Orioles put an 8 spot on the board in the bottom of the 6th to lead 11-1.
Five and 1 at home. Good awfully early on, and then only trouble at 3 consecutive hits in the 2nd inning, but used all his pitches. And for the second out of the last 3 games, they've gotten him at least 11 runs. There you are. He really settled down in this ball game, and as usual, doesn't walk a whole lot of guys. Pitch count maybe up a little bit higher than his last start up in Philadelphia. Again, you hang around. I mean, it's a good way to be a good starting pitcher, especially when your team scores a lot of runs and plays well at home. Hang around long enough till they get you enough runs. Danny Baez comes on to pitch. The ERA inflated the last 2 times out. Grand slam to Hanley Ramirez, one of the best hitters in the National League. And then a couple of years ago, the MVP, Ryan Howard, with a 3-run home run up in Philadelphia on Saturday night.
Oh, we know all about those 2 guys.
Who doesn't?
Phew.
If you're playing the NL.
Yeah, we have the pleasure of seeing them both 18 times a year. Top of the 7th, Bard, Harris, and Hernandez for the Nationals. They haven't had a hit since Ryan Zimmerman's opposite field single in the 3rd. So Brad Bergeson gives up a run on 4 hits through 6. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He hit a batter. And a slow roller right side and under the glove of Brian Roberts. Let's see if they give Josh Bard a base hit.
Yeah, I would imagine they would. Again, we talked to Brian because they speed the infield up here a little bit. Got to take an angle to get to the ball, and because you go back, what you'd hit on the grass, and it stays down. Yep. Well, again, probably a couple of months ago, he would have gotten to that easily. But as you said, it's same for both teams. Orioles certainly have taken advantage of the 14 hits to the 5 for the Nationals.
Josh Bard now hitting .409 in the month of June. He's going to hope they can squeeze 35 or 36 days out of this month. And here's Willie Harris, who's walked and struck out. But the Nationals needed somebody to come alive in that catcher's spot. I mean, Bard and Nieves both capable backup type guys. But the Nationals, and Rob knows all about this from a pitcher's standpoint, Jim, they have really missed Jesus Flores since he went out. He was hitting well in the number 7 spot, the number 8 hole some nights, throwing runners out, handling a young staff. And he's a young guy himself, but he was playing like a veteran.
Well, and the catching position is difficult for the Orioles too, with Wieters up here learning as he's going along as a rookie. You have to be the field general. You have to take over the pitching staff. It's now your team when you're the everyday catcher. And Will Nieves, you see him there, and they've been platooning Bard and Nieves ever since Flores got hurt. But still, whenever it's your day, you still have to take over the team and take over the pitching staff.
Willie Harris taps one right in front of the mound. He was slow getting out of the box. He recovers in time to beat the relay.
Now that's speed, falling down and still beating up the double play.
Yeah, I think right here, Danny Baez says, you know what, 11-1, I'm better in. You can see Willie Harris go down. He's going to take, I think initially thought about taking a sure out, but he had so much time, and then there you go. Sprinter.
Oh.
There you go.
Sprint, speed. We had his high school football coach on last night.
I heard him.
Yeah, he told us he thought Willie was NFL caliber.
What he said, not too many wide receivers can change the complexion of a game. What he returned punts, he did all kinds of stuff.
And they play a little high school football in Georgia too. So he was playing against great competition. Here's Anderson Hernandez, 0 for 2 with a pop up to first and a ground ball to Aubrey Huff. High strike, tailing up and away from Danny Baez.
Yeah, Danny's had a terrific year. The Tommy John surgery last year, came out in spring, really struggled early on. They were going to make him a starter. They said, you know what, you're going to the bullpen. Sees the opportunity. But he's a long armor. I mean, really extension. So he's got to be able to get the ball down, and that splitter goes down. The 2 home runs, the one that Howard was up, and then I think it was a splitter to Hanley Ramirez for the grand slam down in Florida. And that's not where he wants to hang out, up in the zone.
And a double play ball. Roberts turns it 6-4-3, and the Nationals are done. It's 7th inning stretch time here. The Jack Daniels 7th inning stretch. Jack Daniels Tennessee whiskey. Please drink.
Acted teamed up with Masson to speak to some at-risk kids. Now, these youngsters come from troubled backgrounds, and Manny had some words for them about how life is a lot like baseball.
Our message was basically that there are no excuses anymore, in this country or in this world for people to do what they wanted to do, and the life is about choices, and they got to make the right choices, and then those choices, excuses are not included.
Told these kids at Boys Town in Washington, D.C. to dream big like he did. And he also pointed to D.C. Mayor Adrian Fenty and President Barack Obama as role models in Washington, D.C. that made good decisions along the way and made our nation's capital proud. Bob?
Thank you, Debbie Taylor. Manny very involved in the D.C. community. He has a heart for kids. He has a heart for those less fortunate. And right now, the job number 1 is to get out of this game without having your bullpen totally destroyed for the weekend. Jesus Colome will be the 4th Washington pitcher. He'll take over here, bottom 7.
Well, the good thing about being on the road and down by 10 runs is that you know that they're not going to bat in the ninth inning. Again, it's well, I mean, it's you're not going to have to. You save an inning right there.
Oh, you're counting us out already.
No, well, I'm just saying that you're kind of leaning that way as Alberto Gonzalez. And red hot with the bat comes in to play third base. Ryan Zimmerman will get the rest of the night off.
Yeah, he needs a little blow here and there. Ryan plays just about every inning of every game for the Nats. Robert Andino leads off bottom 7 against Jesus Colome.
Well, and sometimes it's easier to come back off of a blowout loss instead of maybe a 2-1 bottom of the 9th loss.
Well, I know you were a reliever, but when I lost 2-1, I didn't sleep well.
No.
When you'd lose 6-1, 7-3, whatever the case is, you go home and you go, not a whole lot of things I could have changed differently. Even though in this game it's 11-1, the base running call back there when Ferguson, the one inning where Ferguson had a little bit of trouble, which was the second inning.
1-1 game at the time. Washington could have had second and third, 1 out.
Now there's games you come in from the bullpen in a game like this, and there's nothing you could throw up there to get somebody out. They just killed everything you threw.
Cristian Guzman cutting in front of Anderson Hernandez, 1 out.
Well, a couple of Augusts ago, I did that 30-3 game when the Rangers came in, and it was the first of a doubleheader as Matt Albers will get loose. And the intriguing thing to me about that game, it was 6-3 going into the 7th inning. Daniel Cabrera actually started that game and got a little bit of trouble, and then it was just unbelievable. Every ball looked like it was T-ball, and Minnesota was coming in to play the next night. They landed about 8:30. They thought, well, they were texting, looking at scores and all that on their cell phones. They're going, it must be a mistake. So there are games like that.
Well, you got to try to put it behind you and come right back and battle the next night.
Brian Roberts, the hitter, 0 for 3 with a walk. On a night when the Orioles score 11 runs on 14 hits, you'd figure Brian would be on base 3 times or more.
Well, that's kind of good news and bad news.
Yeah,
bad
somebody's got to make the outs.
Well, that's true. But Detwiler made some great pitches to him.
Yep. Struck him out looking twice. Start off.
And then got behind him 2-0 and either cut it or took some off and got him with a chance to drive in a couple of runs. Runners at second and third to roll over, and got the ground ball to shortstop. But again, if you look at this, what with Detwiler, 3.6 runs a game, the number's going down. Not a lot of run support.
Nationals have been in a swoon since about the 3rd week of May. He was very late on that swing. Colome's got good stuff, and he can throw hard if he throws strikes, and 2 quick outs here in the 7th.
And I've said this before, I'll say it again. He's got one of the best running fastballs in that bullpen. He throws 97 miles an hour, Jim. It's just being consistent around the strike zone. There you see him turn the back. Good deception. Roberts very late on the swing, but it's consistency. He lacks consistency in the strike zone.
Yeah, and then the inherited runners, what, 9 of 9 have scored. But we saw him, speaking about the Orioles, when he first came up with Tampa Bay. He came up in Tampa Bay. I mean, he was throwing 100 miles per hour on occasion.
Adam Jones 2 for 4. Fastball tails in on him, and there's an appeal. Doug Eddings says he went around. Adam had another hit last inning with a runner in scoring position. He's hitting over 340 in that category this year, and that's top 8 in the American League. Colome has him 0-2.
No, second year in the big leagues. I think a lot of people maybe lose sight of that. So, great start. Terrific center fielder. More home runs already this year than he had in last year, even though he missed a month with a broken foot. Foul ball off that front foot, the left foot.
And I know some people got fired in Seattle for that part of that Bedard trade, but how you let this kid get away, I'll never know, because he looks 10-15 year career in the big leagues if all goes well, and he just looks like he's going to be a special player.
Well, yeah, it was kind of unusual that Eric Bedard, the year they got traded, was one of the best left-handers in baseball, let alone the American League. But he only had 2 more years under control.
That ball flared down the right field line and slicing, and it'll be a fair ball. It gets beyond Elijah Dukes, and Adam Jones is off to the races. Dukes misses the cutoff man.
Now Juan Samuel stopping the third.
Yeah, 11-1. You're not sending a guy to. First of all, it's embarrassing, but he was thinking. The one thing about Adam Jones, he's a fun-loving guy. And, you know, Dukes tries to catch it. The ball just gets inside the line. Then it's off to the races. Very tough corner here at Camden Yards. Try to make it quirky. But he's thinking, right about here, he's thinking, you know what, maybe I'm going to get a triple. Or right here, he's thinking, I got to go inside the park home run.
Yeah,
but
he hits another gear right there.
Samuel says, we're not doing that. We don't need to do that. It's a respectful thing to do.
Yes.
He's at third base, 2 outs, and Markakis the hitter. Nick's 3 for 4 tonight with his 47th RBI. And his batting average has jumped up from 297 to 303.
Well, he gets in a little lull period, and then he'll put 4 hits on the board like he did last night or the week before last.
Look at that, 11 more opportunities with runners in scoring position for the home team tonight.
And then you get them in when you get the opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, the Orioles last night, they had guys on base. I mean, they only had 1 earned run, same team, in 20 innings pitched down against the Marlins. Well, all of a sudden, you get it on, you get them in, and things look a lot better. At least that's through the eyes of Dave Tremblay.
And when Colome gets somebody on base, the work rate slows down considerably.
Yes, he goes to the 4 corners offense when somebody gets on base. You had Steve Traxel here for a few years.
Oh. Well, I hope he throws a ball, because I'll tell you a Steve Traxel story. Fellow Hall of Famer Tom Seaver has his vineyard, GTS Vineyards, up in Diamond Mountain and up by Calistoga. So Fred Manford 2 years ago, I go up with Marlene, his wife, and get out of the car, and Tom, who did the broadcasting for the Mets when Traxel was pitching for the Mets, said, "Don't tell me that Traxel's pitching for the Orioles. Throw the ball." I go, "Yep," and that's what he used to yell from the broadcast booth.
So that's the first thing he said to you when you stepped out of your car.
Exactly.
Hey guys,
better you than me.
Guys, throw the ball in the 8th inning. I'm out of here. Jim Hunter on the way back, and in downtown Baltimore, it's all Orioles on this Friday night.
The official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Orioles. And a look at the upcoming schedule tomorrow night and then Sunday afternoon against the Nationals. And don't forget on Sunday, game also on WJZ and DC 50. And then it's back to American League play for the Orioles as the Red Sox come to town to complete the homestand. Night games on Monday and Tuesday, and a day game on Getaway Day on Wednesday afternoon. And that completes the Orioles homestand. And there's the line score. And guys, what happened? It was a nice, tidy 1-1 pitcher's duel when I left. What's going on over here?
Check out the bottom of the 6th.
How about, an 8-run inning?
Yes.
That's what did it. Oscar Salazar now in the game as he takes over for Melvin Mora, who had a very good night at the plate. And here's the new pitcher on, Matt Albers.
Yeah, Matt's been terrific since he was recalled from Norfolk. The labrum tear last year, rehabbed it, didn't do surgery. Velocity up. We're trying to command that overhand curveball. Last pitched a couple of innings 2 nights ago down in Florida.
So he didn't elect for the surgery?
No. Tried to rehab it.
Wow.
I think early on his problem was that his arm, because of all the rehab, it actually throwing harder. The ball wasn't sinking. And you could see he's much better. And
he's got a big whip action.
Well, he does, yeah.
To his arm.
Christian Guzman is hitless on the night.
Chad Moeller was, we were talking before the game, they were talking the way the Yankees were talking about Albers, that he's much better away to lefties, hardly ever comes in. So, it's going to be adjustment. He's got to come up with some way to get lefties out in. Maybe.
Well, a lot of guys are throwing front door sinkers nowadays.
Yep.
Front door breaking balls right in on lefties. It blows my mind because back in the day, your pitching coach would be, don't throw that. Don't throw anything on the inner half to that lefty like that. But if he's got a good enough sinker, he needs to throw it right at the right leg of a lefty.
1-2 is poked to center field as Christian Guzman gets on, and a leadoff single here in the 8th inning. Well, fans tomorrow night, first 10,000 fans 15 and over coming to the Orioles-Nats game receive a replica Nick Markakis Baltimore batting practice jersey presented by Real Street Staffing. Plus, all fans are invited to stay after the game. It'll be American Classics movie night presented by the Maryland Lottery, as the movie Field of Dreams will be shown on the center field video board. So don't miss this classic night at the ballpark. 888-848-BIRD or onlineorioles.com.
Field of Dreams.
How about that?
Classic. And here, and the
orange balloon got loose, and a youngster is very upset.
Somebody's kid is just balling right now.
45,024 the attendance tonight. Nick Johnson up, takes low.
So again, your approach, if you're hitting off of Matt Albers, yes, he has a curveball, yes, he has a changeup, but doesn't get him over very often, doesn't throw him very often. You look away.
And this is probably not the guy you want to look away with, because Nick Johnson loves to go to left field.
Johnson 0 for 2. He's been hit by a pitch, and right to Salazar at first, who was playing wide of the bag.
Yep, and that's why they put him in for defense. Actually, just came in because the Orioles are at 11-1.
Well, this is why Nick Johnson's been hitting so well all year. He gets a fastball away. Watch him crush this. Boom. But perfect defense.
Yeah, the atom ball. The only thing better is the atom ball with guys running for either a double or a triple play.
Here is Alberto Gonzalez. He took over for Ryan Zimmerman, who was 1 out of 3 on the night. Manny Acta allowing Zimmerman to have a couple of innings off on this hot night.
I played for Cal Ripken Jr. for senior my first year in A ball up in Aberdeen, South Dakota. And he said, boy, I did nothing like the atom ball. And I'm 18 years old. I'm going, what is he talking about? Getting into physics or molecular science? The atom ball. There you go.
That was at his foot. 0-2 the count. Albers last year left the game at Wrigley Field, interleague game, and that was when it was diagnosed that his shoulder had the issues, and he elected to have go the rehab route. Last spring, Troy Patton, pitcher the Orioles got in the Miguel Tejada trade, he had some shoulder issues. He elected to have the surgery. It was a base hit up the middle by Gonzalez. He rehabbed all of last year, and now he's in AAA. They're bringing him back slowly, but it's interesting how 2 guys had similar type shoulder issues. One halfway through the season it was diagnosed, the other was spring training, but Matt decided to elect to go the rehab route, and it worked out well for him.
Well, and Smoltz had the labral tear. He's coming back from that at his age.
Yep.
He had the surgery, and I had a ruptured labrum that actually had to be removed, and that's pretty much what ended my career. But it's the cartilage on the inside of your shoulder. It's what the ball joint really goes on. The same thing, the cartilage in your knees. And once that tears, if they can't repair it, they usually have to take it out, or they have to staple it together. And to rehab, it's just amazing to me, because it's just such, you know how hard cartilage is. It's not going to heal up on its own, so you have to strengthen everything around it.
Foul back off the bat of Adam Dunn.
And if you ever had a torn cartilage in your knee, when it gets flapping around on the joint, that's where you get the inflammation, you get the pain. Shoulder the same way. But I'm sure the MRI showed that maybe it wasn't, at least for managed.
Could have been frayed.
Yeah.
Could have been, not as bad. Some tears are way worse than others, where they have to go in surgically and repair it. But like you said, it is amazing what they can do with modern science today. Now, did you play with Wayne Garland?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Orange uniforms, right?
Yes.
Yep, Wayne Garland was my pitching coach in Nashville, and he had the rotator cuff tear, and he had a zipper on his shoulder that was 20 to 25 inches long, and that pretty much ended his career.
That was the conventional at the time, probably 78 or 9, and they take the supraspinatus, which runs along the top of your shoulder. They actually cut it and then sew it back together, and it never ever gets the tensile strength. So when I used to talk to him, we'd go into Cleveland because he signed a pretty significant bonus at the time, one of the biggest ever as a free agent after 1976. And there's that foul ball off of Adam Dunn's foot. Yeah, but he said, I never really felt that I ever could have thrown back-to-back days, and my arm just never had the strength. Now they go in with, in some cases, they go with the arthroscope, and it's much neater, and they get in there without as much intrusive damage and repair and do the things they need to do.
2-2 undone, 2 on and 1 out. And he got him. Foul tip held by Wieters and 2 men out.
Well, there's your ball up and in. And again, the velocity hadn't been a problem for Matt. So again, you get ahead and then the zoom ball up and in.
Backside Exmo of Adam Dunn right here. 95. Ties up his hands. Great movement on the pitch. I love that. 500 frames per second. My favorite toy.
The Exmo?
Oh, you can see the rotation of the ball. You can see how guys miss changeups by 2 feet. You also see when a guy hits your best pitch for a home run. That thing is slider
there. I thought it was a pitching tool.
No, not at all.
Well, it can be.
And on fielding balls and guys running, all kinds of stuff. It's great.
Josh Willingham batting. Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's too tight. Bergeson's 6 innings, very effective innings for Josh tonight. Really no bad innings. He allowed 3 consecutive hits in the second inning, which led to a run. That was it. 3 up, 3 down first. He had a 2-out single in the third, a 2-out walk in the fourth, and a 2-out hit batsman in the fifth.
And really, it's not Elijah Duke. I mean, maybe he should, the way the inning was going, stopped at second base. But Nolan Reimold did his B.J. Surhoff, where he went down, an impression where he went down the corner, made a perfect throw. Otherwise, Elijah just roars into third base and looked like he was safe anyway. But the Reimold throw at least made it close enough to get the call.
Well, 3-1 the count on Josh Willingham.
Well, let's see if he gets a fastball, because he doesn't miss a whole lot of them. Not in the middle of the plate.
Albers has allowed 2 singles in this inning. The Nationals now with 7 hits. And it's inside ball 4, and he's loaded the bases. So Bergeson went 6 innings. Baez 1, now Albers, and Albers has allowed 3 base runners now with 2 men down.
And I was watching him the other night, Jim, and for a guy, number one, he starts below his belt and then goes all the way up. And I used to start maybe a little bit higher, and George Bamberger said, well, if you're going to bring your hands way up, why don't you just kind of rest your arms? So it looks to me that
sometimes less is more.
Yeah, see how low. Now watch where his arms go. Way up there.
His first movement is up.
Yeah, so why not start a little bit higher? Number one, you're quicker to the plate. Number two, you can hide the ball better, because I was trying to discern, because you can see, because his hands are so low, it's from, at least from center field, you can pretty much see what pitch he's throwing, whether it's a sinker or a breaking ball.
And you and I were kind of pretty much similar with the whole arms and legs, throwing all that stuff at the hitter. It's all about deception.
Yep.
You know, but less is more, especially for a reliever, because you want to quickly get your arm back to that release point, bring it over the top, and it doesn't have to catch up. If your first movement's up, then you go back. There's a lot going on there.
0-2 with the bases loaded. And it's down and away with a slider. Now, what could he improve on with his delivery by doing what you say?
I think he probably would know where his arms a little bit better.
Bring his hands up.
Yeah,
like chest high, and then
right around the letter.
And the takeaway, instead of see how he goes up.
Yeah, the arm swing gets a little bit shorter, maybe easier to do that.
And maybe you get more consistency in the strike zone. Here's the delivery from the side. The first movement's up by his ear, then he takes it away, and now his arm's got to play catch up.
What I like about it is we were always taught that you try to break your hands over your knee, which he does, but it's the root of the arm. It's hard to maybe repeat that.
And he got him. Fastball, same pitch he got Adam Dunham this time to the right-handed batter. Bases left loaded, mid-8. It's 11-1 Orioles.
Hitting about 600 now off of Ron Valone.
Well, let's see. Aubrey Huff came in 0 for his last 10. He has a couple of hits. Adam Jones came in 0 for his last 13. He has 3 hits, including a double and a triple. And Luke Scott, the market correction, 2 hits, an RBI, reached on an error and scored a run.
Well, good night to get healthy. And Aubrey with the Baltimore chop for that high hopper.
Can thank the groundskeeper for the rock hard dirt in front of home plate.
We can thank Terry Crowley, the hitting instructor.
Summertime, it bakes a little bit.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It was 95 all day.
Aubrey Huff deep right. That ball is hooking back and is fouled. Time now for you to text in your vote. It's the AT&T player of the game. Here are the choices. Brad Bergeson, 6 strong innings. Melvin Mora, big night at the plate with 4 RBIs, and Aubrey Huff has had a big night at the plate. A couple of ribbies on the single, a sac fly, and an RBI. A, B, or C to have your voice heard. 51862.
What about Markakis? How many hits does he have? Like 3 or 4?
Nope, only 2.
3.
3.
3?
Yeah. Ooh, he had 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, but 2. I was wrong earlier. They had 7 hits left-handed off of Detweiler, which is not a good percentage.
In particular, when he came in holding lefties to a 188 batting average.
Yeah.
1-1 on Aubrey Huff, leading off in the Oriole 8th. Birds trying to snap a 3-game losing streak after being swept in Florida.
But your lefties are a little better than most.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point. And you know, Huff's a 278 lifetime batting average against left-handers.
Oh.
A lot of people don't. Now, obviously, you know this as well as I, from pitching and then doing the numbers as a broadcaster. What usually happens is the slugging average goes down. The home runs, the doubles, the extra base hits. But, you know, Markakis and Huff, and, you know, even Scott this year where he's healthy, they're tough outs.
Towards the hole, to his left, the second baseman Hernandez, and he got him. Oh, Hernandez going as far as he could, reaching for it, somehow got it to first before he lost his balance.
Well, I did a game in spring training. I saw him go over to shortstop, some of the greatest range I've ever seen, barring, like, say, Robbie Alomar. And here you see it again. Anderson Hernandez going over there. Now you got to right yourself and make a good throw. Good, strong throw over to first base. Nice defense.
Yeah, and you want to improve your pitching, and you need those type of guys. Again, it's offensive production and then defensive reduction, I guess.
And defense has gotten better. Yeah. Elijah in right and Willie Harris in center. That's one of our faster outfields.
What's going on with Lasting Millage? And the last time I read, he was hurt.
Broke a finger.
Broke a finger.
Broke a
out
finger down
indefinitely or for a while?
Yeah, he was out for I think a month to 2 months.
Nolan Reimold has had a good night at the plate. Double, single, and a walk. Colomé on for another inning. And that one just missed outside. Not one.
And if you see the takeaway for Colomé, not a whole lot of work going on there. See Sherrill right from the top, right to the bottom quickly.
Yeah,
and
George has been great. And when he simplifies his windup, is all of a sudden he's been almost. Almost been perfect as a closer.
Towards the hole, there's another base hit for Reimold. So you use the entire field, and you put it through the hole. Well, the Orioles tonight now have 15 base hits, and they have 11 runs, but yet the long ball drought, Jim, continues. American League low 16 home runs in June. And look at how they've been spread out, which I guess is good because that means up and down the lineup. But it's kind of amazing because prior to that, when Reimold and Luke Scott were on the home run tear, they were coming in bunches. So only 16 home runs, and despite no home runs in this game, the Orioles able to score 11 runs. So the singles, especially if you group them, add up.
Word got out. Word got out how good they are, and a lot of pitchers have had to make adjustments.
And it started in late May. Those numbers obviously are in June.
Hernandez to second, one back to first, not in time.
But it really started when Toronto came in here. Then the Tigers came in, and they had one of the best pitching staffs. Then they went to Seattle, tough place to hit. Oakland, they were out of a couple of games there. Then Seattle came back here. Then they got Atlanta, pitched pretty well. The Mets pitched pretty well. Florida pitches real well, and the only soft spot has been Philadelphia. And they swept that series.
Who doesn't pitch well?
Yeah, exactly.
15th,
last, yeah, right. 15th out of the 16 games. Yeah,
and giving up a ton of home runs.
So again, the peaks and valley have something to do with the teams you're playing.
Here's Oscar Salazar, who has been red hot despite infrequent at bats. It's amazing how he stays ready.
Well, you could flat out hit, Jim. That's my answer to that question. He just seems, I mean, he was hitting 372. He's 7 for 17. Even Felix Pie, forget the defense. He's 5 for 11 this month. Wigington's red hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Wigington 13 for his last 26.
How are they losing?
Pitching.
Yeah.
Everybody needs pitching, though.
Except the Red Sox. I mean,
well, had they not picked up Brad Penny, though, and John Smoltz, where do you think they'd be?
Well, they would.
Matsuzaka's on the disabled list now.
Played Buchholz, who's been their best minor league pitcher. Masterson would be starting.
Yeah, Masterson.
Yeah, you know, they got so many options up there. And
a lot of depth.
They went out
Even
and
coming off their bench. I mean, you got Baudelli and a bunch of other guys coming off their bench. But that's like the Orioles. Orioles have a tremendous bench. Like you just said, Wigington. I know the last time you were in Washington, he came off. I think he played 2 of the 3 games.
Well, he's heating up. Numbers are getting more to where they should be.
Yeah. And if Wigington's in the game, Huff, Moore, or Scott is not in the game because he can play the corners and left field. He actually can even play shortstop at second base. It's a valuable guy.
Oh, versatility, man. That's outstanding. I've always liked Wigington, though. Need guys like that to win.
2-1 on Salazar. Check swing. There's a strike.
We had a guy when I was in Cincinnati, Luis Quinones. Could play outfield, could play infield, a switch hitter, and maybe the funniest player I've ever played with. Always laughing, always happy, always unselfish. But one time somebody got hurt, he had to play every day. After about 4 straight days, he was howling. I can't play every day. This is killing me. I mean, some guys enjoy not having to play or maybe have that responsibility to play every day.
Pop up towards second base. There's Hernandez. Has it for the out, and the Orioles down a base hit. And 1 left. We'll head to the 9th. The Orioles up 11-1.
There's your Coors Light freeze cam.
And here is George Sherrill coming on in the 9th inning. And if you're wondering what the heck is the closer doing in a game when you're up by 10 runs, he needs some work. He has not been in a game since last Sunday, and you want to get the rust off before it's a safe situation.
So what did he tell us in Texas when he came in with that 4-run lead, non-state? He said, I never met a 4-run lead that I liked. How about a 10-run lead? But he's been 11 out of 11.
Closers hate big leads or big deficits.
Now, you closed.
Yep, I closed for a while.
I mean, it was kind of like by committee?
Yep. And then there's a couple years where we had one closer, two closers. But, yeah, it was whoever had the hot hand. When Randy Myers was there, he was the guy. But I didn't like coming in just to get some work, whether it was the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning in a big game like this.
Josh Bard, a mile high, foul territory. Salazar there, one pitch, one down in the 9th inning. Well, join us here on Sunday, the finale of 3, the final interleague game of the year. First 20,000 fans 15 and over will receive an Orioles cap presented by DAP. Plus, all kids 14 and under following the game can run the bases here at Camden Yards. Tickets start as low as $9, 888-848-BIRD, or online at Orioles.com.
So George Sherrill, he'll face a lefty. Lefties are 3 for 32, 094. And we talk about the change. Look how closed he is. His angle is really at the left-handed hitter. That's the change. He used to be open. He'd swing his leg to get closed. When he swung his leg back, he'd swing it open, never knowing where his front shoulder was going.
So less is more.
Yep. So he closed.
Yep.
Now he picks up his arm. Rick Kranitz, I think his father-in-law has passed away, so he's not with us over the weekend. But he just suggested making that change, get the arm up, almost like a catcher.
Yeah.
You're in the right position. He's one of the more deceptive left-handers I've seen. Alan Dunn assuming the role of the Oriole pitching coach as Rick is away. We wish him well, and certainly condolences to his family.
Yes.
But again, it's just a subtle little change, and this is the same guy that ended up pitching for the Orioles in the All-Star game. And he was a dominant closer till he had some arm problems the second couple of months of the season.
To make the point about Albers is that also the more time it takes you to get to your release point and separate your hands and all the time. If there's a guy on base and he's a quick base stealer, that's a millisecond. You're not getting the ball to the catcher. So you want to get to the catcher as quickly as possible so he's got a chance to throw people out. Now, obviously, George Sherrill, he's looking right at the guy at first base. He doesn't really have to be as quick as a right-handed pitcher, but righties have to get the ball to home plate.
Bounce to second base off the bat of Willie Harris. Bobbled there, bobbled again. And safe at first is Harris as Brian Roberts bobbles it twice.
You want to be about 1.2 seconds or less to home plate.
Well, here's an update on the voting for the AT&T Player of the Game. And Brad Bergeson, 54%, Mora 33%, and Aubrey Huff 13%. Still time to text in your vote, A, B, or C, to 51862. And Tom and Rick will have the results coming up on O's Extra Post Game. So runner on, and there's a strike. I was talking to George the other night about how he started in pro ball, and he had to go the independent league route. And he was saying how those leagues are more competitive than you might think, because all of the players there want to get back into an organization so they have a chance to get to the major leagues. So they work very hard. It's competitive, and it's more so than you even imagine.
Hey, it's pretty cutthroat. Where you're in a minor league situation. Obviously, everyone wants to get in the big leagues.
Ground ball to second, and out at second base as Roberts able to get it to Robert Andino for the force. 2 men down.
Yeah, this time Brian snares it, makes sure he gets a lead out with a 10-run lead. And then Andino, again, he's played so well at shortstop. He knows there's no possible chance to turn the double play. Just gets out of the way after they get the second out. But you make a great point. And when I played for Cal Ripken Sr., he used to tell us all, he said, well, the reason we're here is because the people come out, even in Aberdeen, South Dakota, to see you play. So that's the most important thing. And we all want to get to the next level. And we can do that by winning as a team. Now, I imagine in independent league, everybody's kind of more for themselves.
And it's last chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of these guys were the best high school players, the best college players, and this is their last chance to be recognized.
Good breaking ball there. Guzman swings through it.
Yeah, he's only hitting .329 against righties. He came in hitting .339 against left-handed or left-handed. So he's just one of those amazing hitters. Bat on the ball. You played for Pete Rose, right?
Yes.
Well, that's what he could do.
And he got him, and that ends it.
Really?
So Wieters picks it up and tags out Guzman, and the Orioles get the opener of this 3-game interleague series, snapping their 3-game losing streak. The Orioles with an 8-run bottom of the 6th break it open, and the Orioles top the Nationals 11-1.